What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in.
Starting tonight at 8, followed by ABC 57 News at 10, all on CW25.
It's only Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Wow. What a long week.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. I've got great news. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying
Maybe it's just
a home,
because I've
right
been
now is
here
the time to
all
lock
day,
that
every
low
day.
rate, even before you find the home of your dreams. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has
Trying to see your comments, folks. I'm trying.
customer
It's just
satisfaction
taking forever to log into everything.
Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com. For J.D. Power,
I mean, Twitch is up.
JDPower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed rate loans. Call for cost.
YouTube is still loading. Other systems loading.
Number 3030.
There we go.
From the Final Phase Electric Studios. From the first step to the final phase.
All right.
Industrial and commercial electrical done right.
I can't hear myself.
This is Casey Hendrickson.
Thank you.
On News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Your breaking news and weather station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. And okay, all right, maybe Hillary is trying to find a way to run again. We'll get to that later in the show. I still don't think it's going to happen. I think it's a lot of posturing and theater and things like that. But it has certainly been an interesting day involving Hillary. But it's been an interesting day pretty much involving everybody else, too. Robert Mueller's in big trouble. We'll get into all of that. I said there's a ton of stuff to talk about today. So we won't get to everything, but we'll do our best to get what we can and hopefully have some fun with it. Anyway, I want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range, located in New Carlisle. Today's Wednesday, which means kids shoot free with a shooting parent. Go to secondamendmentarms.net to get their contact information. Ran into this at 95.3mnc.com. A third Democrat is joining the Indiana governor's race with a GOP backer. Well, that's interesting. A Democratic state senator is formally entering the Indiana governor's race with the state's Republican schools chief expected by his side. First-term Senator Eddie Melton of Gary. Okay, I don't know anything about this guy, but he's a first-term senator. So we've got a first-termer from Gary running for governor, and a Republican is backing them. That's interesting. I'm not sure that anybody from Gary is ready to run the entire state, but that could just be my anti-Gary bias speaking. Anyway, first-term Senator Eddie Melton of Gary tells the Northwest Indiana Times that he's joining the 2020 race because most people feel that the Republican-led state government isn't focused on issues like increased education funding and healthcare access that matters the most. I don't know what any of that means. One day, we are going to have a politician who actually tells us what they want to do. And this has been increasingly rare over the past several decades. I realize this, but one day we're going to have one that actually tells us what their plans are. And we are going to be a little taken aback. I don't know that we're going to understand how to react to it, to be perfectly honest with you. Melton has a Tuesday evening announcement event. Well, Gary, okay, he did that already because it's Wednesday. He'll be the third Democrat seeking the party's nomination to challenge Republican Governor Eric Holcomb. Melton's campaign says Republican State Schools Superintendent Jennifer McCormick will join in the announcement. McCormick drew the ire of top Republicans when she joined Melton at several public meetings over the summer as he considered entering the governor's race. All right, so here's the thing. Indiana is considered the 21st best school system in the country. Okay, I'm talking about out of the 50 states, the 21st. That's multiple metrics that have measured the state, and that's not bad. Okay, we're middle of the road. We're pretty average, and that's good. That's not a bad thing. All right. Obviously, you want to be one of the best, and okay, that's fine, but it's not necessary. As long as you're good and you're proficient, you're doing great. If you're in that lower third, you start running into some problems. Now, why I'm bringing this up is we have a lot of people in Indiana that are running around and telling everybody that we should be doing what neighboring states are doing. Neighboring states like Kentucky and Michigan, and Illinois and Wisconsin, they're all spending more money on education. And Indiana needs to keep pace with them, even though we just increased school funding 2.5% over a 2-year period. What is it, $15.4 billion, I think, on education that we spend now. So we just had a 2.5% increase, all right? Which, by the way, Republicans had lauded as a big success. And you obviously have to keep pace with changing technology and things like that. Salaries in Indiana absolutely are a concern. But again, I want to throw out that when you have these things, like I'm staring at this paper here, who is written by, sorry, it's loading. Okay, so it didn't load. For some reason, the link failed on me. Anyway, it's a paper that was written by a professor here in Indiana who was talking about the spending and things of that nature that we have for Indiana schools. And it's K through 12 education. It's a PDF file that I have. I'll put it in the Daily Show Prep. Robert K. Tautkaushian, PhD. It was written in March of this year. Education funding and teacher compensation in Indiana, evaluation and recommendations. It's a 55-page document, but the executive summary is a couple of pages, and it's at the beginning. So if you read the executive summary, essentially what they conclude is that Indiana is 27th in funding per student, 27th in funding per capita, and 21st in funding per $1,000 in personal income. So we're 27th in funding per pupil. However, we are 21st in educational results, which again shows that we're efficient with money. Indiana does not compare favorably to its 5 bordering states: Illinois, Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin. I forgot to look at Ohio. Sorry, I was in the middle of something. But I looked at Illinois, Kentucky, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And if we don't compare favorably in terms of public education funding and teacher salaries there, then why do we outperform half of them? Now, we underperform the other half, but not by much, only by a couple of states. Whereas Indiana dramatically outperforms Kentucky and really outperforms Michigan. It's not even close. Michigan, you actually need to get your acts together. In spite of our experience with Michigan schools here being very positive, Michigan is not doing very well with educational results. But they spend a lot more than the state of Indiana does. So does Kentucky, and they get less for their money. So again, when you look at stuff like this and you're just comparing dollars, you also have to take into account your cost of living expenses and things like that in your various communities. There's a whole bunch of math that has to be done. You can't just say Illinois spends more on education than Indiana does, and that's not all right. We have to spend more in Indiana to keep pace with Illinois, which doesn't make any sense because living in Illinois costs a heck of a lot more. It doesn't make any sense to compare those two. Now, Michigan, you get a little bit closer, but we have to remember that there's a whole other state in Michigan that is completely different than the Michiana parts of Michigan that are around us. And so they run into a lot of the same problems with cost of living that you see in Illinois. Again, I didn't do Ohio. So Wisconsin and Illinois outperform Indiana education-wise, but not by much. Whereas Michigan is bottom of the barrel in performance. I mean, they're in the 33rd, I think, in the country. Then you have Kentucky, who placed a few states below Indiana. So Indiana spends less than them, yet gets better results. That should be something that we look at as opposed to just comparing dollar to dollar, which, again, doesn't make any sense when you're trying to draw these comparisons. So I'm sitting here and I'm just kind of looking at all of this and I'm going, we had this $34 billion budget that passed here in April. And in that $34 billion budget, $14.8 billion was education. I mean, we're talking about almost half of the budget's education. And that was a 2.5% increase over 2 years. So again, to say that we don't take education seriously in Indiana, I don't know that that's accurate. I know that people want to be paid more. I know that schools want more resources for education. I get that. You know, we always want more. I mean, certainly everybody wants more. But if you look at the money that we do invest and the percentage of our budget that goes for it, I think it's pretty clear that education is a priority in the state. By the way, education at the last budget deal was the top priority issue. So they funded that before they did anything else. And that was crystal clear because, again, it took up nearly half of the budget. So I don't know that I agree with his assessment on that. And it's a little interesting to watch the education chief, a Republican, by his side. And again, I don't know that Gary, Indiana has anything to offer the state of Indiana as an example of being great on education or anything else, to be perfectly honest with you. So I don't know. It doesn't, by the way, the city of Gary is not the measure of the man who represents Gary in the state Senate. I don't know a lot about him, and I don't mean to be sounding like I'm harping on him. It's just that he's out there saying that we don't value education and we don't prioritize it, when in fact we literally prioritized it as the number one budgetary item. It takes nearly half of the budget of the entire state, and it got a 2.5% increase. And Indiana overperforms for its funding levels compared to the rest of the country, which isn't a bad record to have, to be perfectly honest. Could it be better? Of course, everything could be better. Even some of the top states in education in the country could be better, but certainly that's something to look at and go, we're doing some things right. We're certainly getting more bang for our buck than most states are getting. We've got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news.
Your breaking news and weather station.
So someone made an edit. It's a picture of Goku from Dragon Ball.
Okay.
And it says, "Hey, it's me, Goku. F Blizzard, F the NBA, and F China."
I mean, you can't.
And one of the
You can't
comments,
kick a player from Hong Kong out of a tournament because he supports his homeland. You can't do that.
one of the comments says, "Oh no, Goku, you're going to lose social points."
Can you become a Super Saiyan if you have a low social score in China? What's up, folks? So if you haven't seen a video gamer, a competitive championship video gamer who is from Hong Kong, did he win the tournament or was he just being interviewed? But anyway, he was at a big tournament, and because they confiscated his prize winnings, like he lost his winnings.
Adam, no, that's not at all what I wanted.
Anyway, he's from Hong Kong. They gave an interview with the kid, and he said something like "liberate Hong Kong" or something like that. This is the revolution of our life or something. And the people who were interviewing hid off of camera so they wouldn't be associated with him. And then he was kicked out of the tournament by Blizzard, who's a major video game company, who hosts the tournament, and he has been expelled from the tournament for supporting his homeland.
They stripped him of his winnings and banned him from competing in any Hearthstone competitions, what he was competing in for the next year.
So he has a year ban.
The specific rule he violated is one which forbids competitors from doing anything that brings you into public disrepute, offers portion or group of the public otherwise damages
in-house financing for those with less than perfect credit.
That is telling everybody that my homeland is under attack by a foreign power.
I'm guessing they're...
Hi, this is Dwayne Miller with Good Faith Management, and I buy houses cash.
The public disrepute and offers a portion of the group offends a portion or group of the public. That's what I'm guessing they're saying.
Okay.
But the thing he really did was damage Blizzard's image.
So what's Blizzard's punishment for damaging their own image? Because they just did.
I buy inherited houses, divorce houses.
Florida Senator Marco Rubio accused Blizzard of knuckling under the Chinese authorities.
Marco Rubio doesn't play around with communist stuff, man.
Chinese market.
His parents are from Cuba. He doesn't play
If
around
you
with
don't know who
communists.
Blizzard is, you might know their biggest project that got them in the famed World of Warcraft, which is their biggest product right now.
294-5678 for a cash offer
Yeah.
today.
That's that, Overwatch, and Hearthstone are their big three products right now.
The Five-Star Comedy Club presents Dave Dyer, Friday, October 11th at 8 p.m. $20 get you in the club located in the lower level of the Five-Star Dive Bar and includes buffet-style dinner and dessert at 7 p.m. and admission to the band on the main level.
Liberate Hong Kong, Revolution of Our Age in China.
There you go.
That's what he showed.
Television, movie, and music experience this week at 8 p.m. Dave Dyer. I am not one of these guys that pays a whole lot of attention to things like that. I'll be honest.
So here's what happened. He was giving an interview last Sunday while wearing a gas mask, and then just shouted,
Right.
Hong Kong Revolution of Our Age.
Okay.
And so they thought it was a terrorist attack. It was because he shouted it in Chinese and they didn't know what he said. He was just wearing a gas mask.
All right. Hey, guys,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I've been wrapped up in meetings.
No, it's okay. We know you're swamped today.
Our
Oh,
satellite receiver got knocked out of whack when they were mowing the lawn. It got hit so hard by the lawnmower.
So that's what did it. Okay.
Yeah, it literally knocked the satellite out of position. So our programming is all fucked up right now. I'm sorry. Our programming is all...
Online content is unrated.
Oh, okay. So anyway, things are not timed out as well as... God damn it, Casey.
I tried. Did I or did I not try to stop him when he came in? But he just went right into it. I was like, okay.
Okay, so our programming is it's off kilter, but time wise right now. We're working on the problem. It'll be fixed hopefully by the end of the day. And but when you go to Fox News at the top of the hour, it may or may not be there, or it may
So
be
that's
like
why it was
15,
late.
20 seconds late.
Okay.
So keep that Casey music pad going until it actually starts. Okay, and I'm sorry, there's literally zero I can do about it until the guy gets here to read the satellite dish.
Yeah, we started getting a bunch of calls during 5-star, and I thought
bet.
maybe something happened.
Oh, yeah,
And then
something
Dave
did
said,
happen.
he goes, yeah, it stopped. It started at like 12:30
Yeah.
when they did it. So
Yeah,
okay.
so, this whole thing happened just after 12 today.
Okay. I didn't know it was going to Fox. He said it was like doing something with Kilmeade and Rush's commercials and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So,
it was-
but now Fox going late makes sense.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why that's happening. So,
All right, good deal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Premium content you get nowhere else but the live stream.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-25-95-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. So the people have been texting us today and calling it, what was going on with the commercial breaks earlier today? We just had a whole explanation of that on the live stream, and you missed it because you weren't there. You weren't there. Just know that they're fixing it, okay? And it wasn't our fault. So we're working on it. Anyway, it was one specific individual's fault, but it had nothing to do with us. Okay, so we apologize if there's some delays here and there. All right, 574-25-95-95.3. Do want to thank R&B Car Company, locations in South Bend and Warsaw. R&B Car Company are your used car experts. Don't you worry your purty little heads. I will definitely be talking about the Kurd situation. I didn't yesterday. I had it on the docket, just ran out of time to go over it because there's a lot of people who I think rightfully are upset, but also don't fully comprehend what's going on. And that has to, I think it has to be balanced. And it's, anytime you're talking about the Kurds, it's a very complicated situation. So we'll get to that, I promise. Probably at 3:30, if not at 3:30, at 4. Okay, just kind of depends. I did post this yesterday on Facebook at facebook.com/Casey the host. Former Republican Representative Trey Gowdy, he was from South Carolina, has now been tapped to serve as outside counsel to President Donald Trump as the House impeachment inquiry expands. This is big news. Let's not forget, Trey Gowdy's a former prosecutor. Trey Gowdy was the guy that would rip all of these Democrats in these committee hearings to pieces. And he is he basically got disenchanted with Washington, D.C. And he said, that's it, I'm going back. I'm going back to a more clean and honorable profession. I'm going to go back to being a lawyer. So he left D.C. and went back to being a lawyer. I know that a lot of people wanted him to be the attorney general, and I honestly think it's just too political of a position for him to do it. So, maybe one day he'll get back to that point, but he has been tapped, and this is key because for a while there, Trey Gowdy was not a fan of President Trump, and he was actually on the side looking into Russia and everything else as this possibly being a real serious issue. And then eventually, as the evidence kept coming out, he realized that he was on the wrong side of that, and he flipped. But again, Representative Trey Gowdy has now been tapped to serve as outside counsel to President Trump. He's a former South Carolina congressman, did not seek re-election last year to the seat that he had held for 8 years. Gowdy was the chairman of the House Oversight Committee. He led the congressional investigation of former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and the terrorist attacks in Benghazi, Libya. So this is big news. And then, of course, you have the president yesterday. That was the breaking news at the end of the show, which we did tell you about. But we have the actual letter where the president's letter to, or I should say the White House's letter to the media about the impeachment. I'm using the air quotes here, impeachment, because it's really not impeachment. We'll get into that a little bit later as well. We've kind of referenced that a couple of times here recently, but it's not actually impeachment that they're doing. And so people are running around and trying to say that this is an official impeachment inquiry, but rules have been changed and things like that. And we have to talk about that because the Constitution, you want to talk about violating the Constitution. Joe Biden today saying that the president needs to be impeached because he's shooting holes in the Constitution. What do you call changing the entire process for impeachment? So anyway, the White House said in a blistering letter sent on Tuesday to top House Democrats that officials in the executive branch will not cooperate with House Democrats' constitutionally illegitimate impeachment inquiry of President Donald Trump. In the letter, the White House counsel, Pat Cipollone, accused Democrats of attempting to both overturn the results of the 2016 election and influence the outcome of the 2020 contest through their impeachment push, which is exactly what, of course, they are doing. The president cannot allow your constitutionally illegitimate proceedings to distract him and those in the executive branch from their work on behalf of the American people, he wrote to Speaker Pelosi. Very interesting breaking news about Speaker Pelosi today, too. We'll get to that here in a little bit. The president has a country to lead, he added. Democrats opened the impeachment inquiry based on a whistleblower complaint filed against Trump on August 12th over a phone call that he had in July with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Now, again, I have to remind everybody, the accusations in the whistleblower complaint by the leaker, who is not a whistleblower and did not actually hear the phone call, the allegations ended up being proven false. So we have the transcripts, we've got the foreign minister, and we have the actual president of Ukraine all saying none of what was alleged happened. So that's I'm just taking the people outside of the White House and the intelligence community who are also saying that it didn't happen. We have that transcript. Okay, that transcript was declassified and released to the public and proved everything in the complaint completely incorrect. We now know that so-called whistleblower, who is actually a leaker, has a close personal relationship and working relationship with one of the nominees or the candidates to be the nominee of the Democratic Party who will run against President Trump. So they have a vested interest in damaging his reelection effort in order to help their good friend and current and or former employee. It's basically said to be former employee, but there's a whole host of stuff. That leaker also violated the law. That leaker then lied about contacts with Schiff. Schiff lied about contacts with them. It's been a whole fiasco. So again, this broke yesterday. Now, early in the show, we told you that Rudy Giuliani said that my position is coming from the White House. We're not going to participate in any of this. Nobody from the executive branch is going to participate in this impeachment until Adam Schiff is removed. Then later in the show, near the end of the show, the letter was finally sent. The news broke that the White House was basically saying, this is an illegitimate impeachment effort, and we're not going to participate in it at all. And again, it is illegitimate. We'll get into that later on in the show, probably not right now. Again, Trump has denied any wrongdoing, and all of the evidence would point to him not doing anything wrong or incorrect. So it's kind of interesting when your entire allegation against him is completely debunked and they still move forward on this stuff. But we'll get into the rule changes and all of that stuff a little bit later on. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this. I know that a lot of you want to talk about the Kurds. We'll probably do that next, right here on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station.
So Epic Games, creators of Fortnite,
Yeah.
respond to what happened with, we wouldn't ban or punish a Fortnite player for political speech during one of our tournaments.
Good for them.
So in Blizzard has a giant orc statue outside their office, and several employees staged a walkout and covered up. It has a bunch of company mottos on it.
Yeah.
Ideals.
Yeah.
It has "Think globally and every voice matters" on it. They covered up those signs.
They should have hung a "Don't Be Evil" sign on it as an homage to Google, who is evil.
It's
Yeah, we got a few gamers that popped in
so
on the stream. They're not happy either.
you shouldn't.
No, he's stupid. It's absolutely stupid.
Rachel Kaiser from the Next Web Gaming has wrote 2 articles on it. One saying what happened, and another one on the backlash that Blizzard has gotten so far on it. So
Yeah, Kaiser's her name.
Raise awareness about the dangers of exposure. Overexposure for young children is especially dangerous as their brains are still in early development. The test days
Deep fried curds are good.
October 16th at the
If you have not had deep fried curds, you need to find some.
at the Nooner Fine Arts Academy. You can find the exact time.
I'm going to talk about Matt Lauer today, too. And as I think you all understand that I don't like Matt Lauer. I actually think that Matt Lauer is guilty of a lot of the things that he's been accused of. I don't believe that he is guilty of raping this woman. And I get that from her arguments and her statements. So we'll talk about it. Because I don't like Matt Lauer one bit.
Tonight temperatures drop down near 52, and then for Thursday, warming up to 74 with a mix of sun and clouds, and that strong cold front moves through on Friday.
Matthew says F Blizzard. I'll stick with my free WoW for the horde. Horde. I was reading Hearthstone and yeah. Dean with his hooked on phonics, all misspelled. You know what's really funny is you would be amazed at how many people get really, really upset when I say edumacation. I mean, really upset. They don't understand why I say it, and it's completely lost on them. And then they freak out, emails, text messages, phone calls sometimes. It's a whole thing. And they think that I can't actually pronounce education. They don't get it. Blizzard needs to do is shut their damn mouth. If they were smart, they would come out and they would say, it wasn't what he said, it was the way he said it, it scared people, it caused a panic, and that's why we did it. If they were smart, that's how they... Now, nobody would believe them, but if they were smart, that's what they would do. Yeah, they launched it this morning. Actually, technically last night, Alex. I've got that. We'll cover it.
Raising non-GMO beans for IOM grain will eliminate basis fluctuations in the cash market. Call 260-726-6224. I'm Andy Eubank. Who's your ag today? Timely, relevant, credible.
So I downloaded that Brave browser, and I was playing around with it. And apparently you can add the extensions from Chrome. So I only added one, my Instapaper, but it's not functioning. So I don't know if that's because it violates their privacy rules or what. Not really sure. I have to play with it a little bit more.
Is under pressure from lawmakers and regulators over its massive market power and record of privacy breaches. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Tom Lamb, Investor Review.
The Fox Business Report brought to you by Modern Kitchen, creating your dream living spaces so you can redesign them.
Yeah, we're going to have those issues all day long.
I'm Sean Haas, an Army veteran, teacher, husband, and father, running as Republican for mayor of South Bend. 50 years of one-party rule has left our city with a soaring crime rate, few jobs, broken roads, and failing schools. My opponent wants to continue the same failed policies of Mayor Pete. As mayor, I will fight to restore the safety of our streets, revitalize our schools, and ensure that our city is rebuilt in a way that we can all prosper. On November 5th, let's not have another repeat. Vote for me, Sean Haas for mayor. Paid for by the committee to elect Sean Haas for mayor.
Nancy.
Why does he say your name like that?
From the network that brought you Riverdale.
From what I hear, you got a lot of stories. Finding missing kids, solving cases when the cops couldn't.
I've never been like the other kids. I chase the shadows.
Tonight, the CW brings you the highly anticipated mystery series.
Looks like you saw a ghost.
Dead Lucy. People say she still haunts our town.
Oh, the killer doesn't get you!
It's hard to keep a secret buried.
You think that guy killed his wife and you break into his house?
You're such a badass.
I believe in looking for the truth.
The thrilling series premiere.
A socialite killed on parade night. We have to solve this case fast. We're all murder suspects.
Nancy Drew.
What can I say? Girls love mystery.
Following the season premiere of Riverdale tonight on the CW.
Starting tonight at 8, followed by ABC 57 News at 10, all on CW 25.
You like shopping online for everything, even your next vehicle. But you also want to buy from a dealer that you know and trust. And buying a car from a vending machine is cool, but what happens when you want to test drive the car first? And what happens if you have a question you want a live, local expert to answer? The solution is Lock Monday Fast Track from the Lock Monday Auto Group. Lock Monday Fast Track takes you from shopping to driving 100% online and at your convenience. You view over 700 new and used vehicles.
That's the only way you say education anymore.
See your loan terms and monthly payments, pay your vehicle, and secure your deposit. Then simply schedule a time for your vehicle to be delivered to your home or office. Wait, still want to test drive the car first? No problem. Schedule a test drive at any time. We're happy to help in person at any point. The Fast Track is only at lockmonday.com. Shop new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram.
Well, for me, with the Matt Lauer story is, if he raped you, why would you initiate sexual contact with him again after that? That becomes the big problem there.
From the final phase electric studios, from the first step to the final phase, industrial and commercial electrical done right. This is Casey Hendrickson.
Hey, Joe, do you want to just go ahead and go to the president here? The president is speaking on impeachment and Syria. We're getting ready to talk about the Kurds anyway. This is President Trump on Fox News.
To expand our record-breaking regulatory reduction campaign that is helping to fuel our incredible economic boom. I guess the stock market's up close to 250 points today, and this is despite lots of trade deals that are getting done one by one. We did a deal with South Korea, big one, really big one, and we did one yesterday with Japan, and that now goes into effect, and it's tremendous for our farmers. As you know, we have China coming. They'll be coming tomorrow. We have the vice premier of China coming. So we have a lot of big things happening. We have some tremendous deals under negotiation. So despite all of that, we have a great economy and a great market. Our housing market's on fire, and things are really doing well. You look at Asia, they're not doing well. Look at China's having a hard time at this moment, and I think they'd like to make a deal very badly. And so we have a lot of things that are really exciting, and to be in the midst of negotiating some of the worst trade deals ever made, and to be breaking them up and changing them for the good of the American taxpayer and for our country, and to still be doing so well. We had over 100 record-breaking stock markets, I think in 121 or something. I'll get you the exact number, but many, many days we broke the record. And we continue to do well. And when these trade deals are done and when certain other things that we're doing are done, it's going to be at a level that's incredible. That was the cutest noise. What was it? I heard this. See, I'm used to hearing them. And there's nothing cute about them. So beautiful. And don't feel bad. He can just do whatever you want. That's a beautiful sound. Today we take bold new action to protect Americans from out-of-control bureaucracy and stop regulators from imposing secret rules and hidden penalties on the American people. We're delighted to be joined on this occasion by Acting Director Ross Vogt, who has really done a fantastic job, Deputy Attorney Jeffrey Rosen. Are you busy enough, Jeffrey? And Congressman Mark Meadows. Mark, fantastic that you're here. Louisiana Solicitor General, I'll be there. Liz Murrell. Where's Liz? I'll see you on Friday.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you'll be there, but we have a big crowd, so it's going to be great. Thank you very much, Liz. And several other state and local officials, we want to thank you all for being here. For many decades, federal agencies have been issuing thousands of pages of so-called guidance documents, a pernicious kind of regulation imposed by unaccountable bureaucrats in the form of commentary on how rules should be interpreted. All too often, guidance documents are a backdoor for regulators to effectively change the laws and vastly expand their scope and reach. Guidance has frequently been used to subject U.S. citizens and businesses to arbitrary and sometimes abusive enforcement actions. It sounds like they're talking about me. I think they're talking about me. I might have a conflict in signing this deal. Because of these materials and the fact that these materials are too often hidden and hard to find, many Americans learn of the rules only when federal agents come knocking on the door. This regulatory overreach gravely undermines our constitutional system of government. Unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats must not be able to operate outside of the democratic system of government. Wow. Imposing their own private agenda on our citizens. A permanent federal bureaucracy cannot become a fourth branch of government unanswerable to American voters. In America, the people must always reign. With us today is Andy Johnson from Wyoming, great place, whose family is one of many that suffered from the absurd redefinitions and interpretations of federal bureaucrats. And Andy is here to say a few words. I'd like to hear that, Andy, because I think you might be speaking about me or to me. Thank you very much. Where's Andy? Come on up here with that beautiful baby.
While we wait for the president to turn his sights at some point to the ongoing invasion.
All right. So the president's obviously doing some of the other things that are going on there, and eventually we'll check back in with him maybe after the next commercial break. We'll hopefully have him talking about Syria, maybe impeachment and things like that. Now, what is interesting about Syria is that I've told you for a long time, one, that getting involved in Syria was a stupid idea, okay? It didn't make any sense. Regime change policy of the previous administration in Syria was a clear case of lessons not learned after Libya and elsewhere. Made no sense to go into Syria, none whatsoever. Now, in Syria, you do have Kurds, and of course, you have this border with Turkey. Now, Turkey has traditionally been an American ally, and for those of you who've been listening to this program for a long time, you know that I've been warning you about Turkey for many years, including Erdogan, and exactly what kind of an individual he is. Now, he claims that he is trying to prevent terrorism and things of that nature. The problem is that his regime is more Islamist than previous regimes, and I don't believe that the attempted coup was a real attempted coup, because what ended up happening is the military didn't actually try to take control of anything. They refused to actually fight, and then he squashed the coup, and then he rounded up a bunch of teachers, political opponents, journalists, and disappeared them. So this is not a country that for many years I've been saying that we shouldn't let them into NATO. We should not be giving them military supplies. Of course, the president did stop some military supplies to Turkey. This country is a problem. Turkey has always had this scuffle with the Kurds in Syria. Okay, that is generational. All right, that has been happening for a long time. Obviously, you have the Kurds in Iraq and everything else. The Kurds are traditionally an American ally. And I had said before when this was all happening, because this was a disagreement that he had with General Mattis as well. Mattis wanted to be in Syria to protect the Kurds. And the problem with that is, if you do that, you are effectively annexing a part of a country in order to give the Kurds their own land. Now, this is Kurdish territory within a country, but it's not their own country. And if you want to do that, okay, but you have to commit. And if you're going to commit, then that, so be it. But we're not going to commit. And I know that because you can go back to Bush Sr., Bill Clinton, Bush Jr., and Obama, and now Trump. They've all abandoned the Kurds, every single one of them. The Kurds are a useful ally when we need them, and then we don't actually follow through with helping them. Now, that is a policy that I find abhorrent. I don't agree with any of those presidents going back to Bush Sr. And probably we could go back even further than that. That's just my earliest knowledge of it because of the Gulf War. You know, the Kurds rose up because we told them we would have their back if they did. They rose up and we didn't have their back and they got squashed. So this is a policy that the United States has had for a long time. I don't agree with it. I've said before, if we were going to be in Syria, what we should do is protect the Kurds. That's it. Nothing else. Leave everybody else alone. Let everybody do their own thing. It wasn't thousands and thousands of troops that we were moving. Okay, we're talking like 50 or so is what the number ended up being. The problem is that Turkey wouldn't mess with certain areas because we were there. They didn't want to risk accidentally hurting one of our people. They didn't want to run into us because if they did, obviously that would mean serious repercussions. Now, the president has said that he would destroy Turkey's economy if they got out of line here. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we knew that Turkey was going to attack the Kurds. They launched that attack last night, and that is exactly what they are doing. They are attacking the Kurds. Now, there are groups that are saying 7 civilians have died as a result of this. I don't know if that's true or not. The president indicated that if civilians started dying, he would immediately take action against Turkey. So there's going to be some possibilities of propaganda that go here. And by the way, the Kurds are very good at propaganda too, even though they're our allies and our friends. I follow many Peshmerga who travel there regularly and fight in various parts of the world with Kurdish forces. So I'm somewhat familiar with it, but it is a complicated situation, and unless you're willing to do what we did with Israel and take a plot of land and say this is now Kurdish territory, which you can't do because the Kurds don't even all get along. So what do you do? Okay, and this is the thing. Like I said, I don't agree, but we never should have been in Syria. So now going to Syria has made a complicated situation that much more complicated. But what do? You stay in Syria and just protect the Kurds? For how long? You're inside another country, a country that's not exactly friendly to the United States. And if you're going to do that for an extended period of time, okay, but you'd better be able to make that commitment. And I don't know that Americans want to make that commitment. And until we get to a point where we're going to stop treating the Kurds as mercenaries, to be perfectly honest with you, when they're useful, I don't know what else to do. I know my strategy on this would have been completely different than Obama's and completely different than Trump's. But I also understand his reasoning, and I don't think it's flawed. I think that there's a lot of people who want to protect the Kurds because they're our allies, and I appreciate that. Turkey's technically our allies too. So you're now dealing with two allies who are fighting each other. Well, when you have two friends fighting each other, what is usually the best course of action? Back away. Now, if you can't break it up, and you can't, and by the way, the Kurds and the Turks have been killing each other even while we were in Syria all of these years. This is not something that just all of a sudden started. It's just that it's now open warfare. I don't have an answer for you, folks. I don't like seeing it either, but I don't know that there is a better solution. You've got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Michiana's news channel is everywhere. The top news and issues on Facebook
and on Twitter at 95.3 MNC. Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Weather served up by the Prime Table Restaurant in Niles. If you want a group meet regularly for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, just call the Prime Table to reserve tables for your next gathering.
Now, your home comfort experts, heating specialists, 5-day forecast.
Plenty of sunshine in your forecast. The temperature's warming up near 72 degrees. For tonight, we drop down to 52. We stay nice and bright again for Thursday with a mix of sun and clouds and daytime highs even topping out near 74. However, our temperatures start to drop as we head to the second half of Friday.
It has been, Alex, watching them oppose this. Yeah, it's a little interesting.
Some windy conditions for that Friday forecast. Temperatures at night drop down near 40, and then for Saturday, we only warm up to 52 degrees. Good news for the weekend is most of it stays dry with a mix of sun and clouds, but still some rather breezy conditions.
Yep, and I agree, Frank. I would love to see a Kurdistan. I would love to see it. But, you know, they don't get along either. So it's like, you know, there's no solution. You know, until they can stop bickering with each other and then get along and have one country where they can all work together. And then where do you put that country? You know, because you're going to be taking land away from existing countries. And now you have to deal with those ramifications. And it's just been, if we look at what happened with Israel, you know, do we want another situation like that with the Kurds also in the Middle East? And I'm not sure that that's acceptable either. I really don't know. And they don't want to leave their ancestral homes. You know, so you can't pack up some of them and relocate them. Just, there isn't an answer that is clean. There just isn't. We should stop exploiting them when conflicts arise, I guess. But I don't know what the solution is. I really don't.
This message is for all those stream-happy, data-loving, smartphone junkies.
You know, with a lot of these ethnic fighters that helped the U.S. in the past, we basically just packed them up and moved them to the United States when we were finished. Kurds don't want to come, you know. Send Dennis Rodman.
55 only from T-Mobile. If you're 55 or older, you can get 2 lines of unlimited everything.
I didn't watch Trey Gowdy's interview. Does he look weird?
All fees included. So go ahead, embarrass your kids with another baby pic on Facebook.
And that's just it, Daniel. You know, you've got Turkey, who's technically an ally, even though we're not on great terms right now. You've got the Kurds, who are obviously consistently been our ally. But what do? Do you pick one ally over the other, or do you continue to invest time and resources in being in the middle of a shooting match? There's been videos that have been uploaded by Turkey and the Peshmerga where they have been killing each other on each side the whole time that we have been there. It's the blood is not stopped. The fighting is not stopped. It's just open warfare now.
Optical shop, they can help take care of all your vision needs. If you need routine vision care, emergency care, contact lenses, low vision, or even help with dry eye, their private practice has your family in mind, from the waiting room to the exam chair and beyond. They go to great efforts to make sure your child's experience is memorable. They know that your eyes are not one size fits all, but their expert staff conduct a lifestyle survey to help unlock your specific eyewear needs. They'll work together to design your perfect pair: fashion, function, computer, reading, occupational, and even specialty hobby lenses like golf, fishing, shooting, sunglasses, and more. With offices in Edwardsburg, Buchanan, Dowajak, and Three Rivers, they're making it.
Casey, give the Kurds 2 nuclear cruise missiles.
swvisioncenter.com today. Get the personal touch that you've been looking for.
But 10 hut. The winds are changing, and it's time to infiltrate the furnace to be ready for winter. Wait,
Watch out, you'll get smeared as an isolationist by both sides. Okay. Syria was a stupid move. Now, the Kurds in Iraq, I believe that we should have protected, and I think we should have carved up Iraq and made the Kurdish portions of Iraq their own country. But then you'd have, could you do that again in Syria? And no. It's not going to work out that way.
Up and down weather can be hard on your furnace, so make sure it's in top shape to run most efficiently. Give it an $89 tune-up before winter from the highly trained technicians that you can trust with your house keys. Home comfort experts, plumbing, heating, and cooling. Call 255-4600.
Look, Sergeant Squirrel's coming back in a taxi. Whiskey Tango. That's no taxi. That's the yellow van. Home comfort experts.
Listen to your trust with your house keys. Home comfort experts.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses?
Al Qaeda itself wasn't, but the precursors and the people who formed Al Qaeda when they were part of the Mujahideen, they were against the Soviets.
We want to help remove stress from your retirement. We don't want you to worry if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive.
All right, now I have to look it up. Hold on. Trey Gowdy.
Spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call the team at Howard Bailey, 866-482-9559 for a complimentary retirement analysis with strategies that could help provide you with the monthly income you'll need in retirement. 866-482-9559, 866-482-9559, or just visit Retire with Purpose.
Is that little swoop haircut that he's got? What happened to his sweet stubble, man?
We're your home for the Sean Hannity Show.
He had that cool stubble going for a while. Oh, well.
Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station.
It's in Germany, Happy.
A listener sent me a message and says, careful, you'll get called an isolationist by both sides. And if you've listened to the show for any length of time, then you would know that the Kurds in Iraq, I had a different approach. I believe that Iraq should have been carved up, and they should have got their own land in Iraq. But then you would have to do that again in Syria. And they don't, like I said, they don't get along. So you can't, if you could have one Kurdish country and have all of the Kurds emigrate there like we did with Israel, that would be one thing. But you can't, because they don't get along. So then you're dealing with more tribal stuff. And they, like I said, they don't want to leave their ancestral lands. But getting involved in Syria with regime change in Syria was a stupid move. It ended up being a disaster over there. It ultimately was a failed policy of the Obama administration. And I mean, you're over there, you're literally fighting three different sides at the same time. And at the same time that you're doing that, you're trying to avoid actually attacking Russians. So it's none of the Syrian policy made any sense at all. Obama is probably his second biggest foreign policy failure was Syria. Luckily, we were able to get it under control and defeat ISIS in Syria. But now that that mission is essentially done, you are left with a decision. All right, we went there, under regime change. We're not going to change the regime. The new president doesn't want a regime change there. It wouldn't make any sense to have a regime change there. We basically killed ISIS. The caliphate is destroyed. Yes, there's still pockets of ISIS resistance, but nothing that is a serious threat to real estate. Okay, so do you leave those pockets to fight for their lives against the Syrians and their allies and protect the Kurds, or do you just get out of it altogether? Or because if you do protect the Kurds, you're going to be there forever. And if that's, like I said, if that's something that the American public is willing to get into, then okay, you could, I guess, but it is going to be a fiasco. And so the president has said, I'm not going to do that, back away. Now, the Kurds in Iraq are different. I believe that we should have carved up their own land in Iraq and made their own country. I firmly believe that, but we didn't. And I understand why we didn't. I just wish that we had gone against that thinking. But, the Kurds are great people. They're great allies. They're great fighters. They have an awesome culture. I wish them the best. But at the same time, being the buffer between them and Turkey in perpetuity didn't seem like a good strategy either. Got more coming up.
WTRC FM and HD1.
All right, I'm going to go grab some more coffee. I will be right back.
Top stories right now. Syria. From Lisa Brady, Fox News. Turkey just confirming that its ground forces have crossed the border. This follows earlier airstrikes. Activists and a war monitoring group now reporting at least 7 civilian deaths. Kurdish forces who were U.S. allies in the fight against ISIS are considered terrorists by Turkey. The White House releasing a statement earlier today.
It says this morning Turkey, a NATO member, invaded Syria. The United States does not endorse this attack and has made it clear to Turkey that this operation is a bad idea.
Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. The statement also says the U.S. will hold Turkey to its commitment to protect civilians and religious minorities. For the first time today, former Vice President and Democratic presidential hopeful Joe Biden is calling for President Trump to be impeached.
To his words and his actions, President Trump has indicted himself.
That prompted an angry response from President Trump on Twitter, calling Biden Sleepy Joe, and Biden responding to the president as well, saying thanks for watching. An indictment announced over a classified leak. The suspect, an intelligence analyst. Fox's Bernal Scott is this live.
Yeah, Comet's pretty much right on the nail. None of them want us over there, but they all want our help. And
foreign weapon systems that could compromise national security. U.S. Attorney Zachary Terwilliger says it began with.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, and 95.3 MNC.com.
the Kurds get tons of money from the U.S., and they don't just get it from tax dollars. You can donate. So Peshmerga are basically independent contractors. They're civilians who, well, I should say Western Peshmerga are civilians, and a lot of them have Instagram pages, and they have donation things. So they'll come on and be like, hey, I need a new bulletproof vest. Mine got trashed. And you go ahead and you donate money until they can get it, that sort of thing. So what's up, homie? No, I'm just talking to the stream.
Probaco went ahead and signed up for that, so.
The Italian place?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Shoot you some emails on there.
Okay.
And then you'll have details to start your copy and invite people to meet you there on the following Tuesday, 22nd.
October?
Yeah.
Cool. So it starts October 22nd. All right.
So
Yeah.
But we need to talk about it on air the week before.
Okay.
So it'll start like the 14th.
All right.
And then first day will be the 22nd.
Okay. So is it going to be like Amigo sit at the bar thing, or is it going to be a table
You can
thing?
go,
Or
bring your family. You can sit at the bar, bring
Okay.
your buddy, whatever you want.
okay. So it's going to be basically like Temper was.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Basically, differentiate if you can.
Is there a like a special or discount?
Yeah, I'll include all that in the
Okay.
details. It's half off pizza.
Oh, half off pizza, and what's the name of the place again?
Perbacco.
Perbacco. Bacco.
Yes. And he's
Perbacco.
like, oh, really?
Bruno's Perbacco. All right. Sweet. It's got good reviews.
Yeah. Food looks amazing.
I mean, you can't suck at cooking if Paul's your brother, right?
Oh, right. And you'll like this. His saying, which they actually had to take off the air on a different radio station, was size does matter. Big place.
He had to take it off the air? Who made him take it off?
97 cents.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Oh.
Rock station right here or somebody.
They're a rock station and they made him take it off?
77, yeah, classic rock station.
Classic rock station made somebody take it. Wow. No wonder nobody knows who they are. Nice. Good deal. Thanks, bud.
Yeah, they're raw. WYXX.
I've never heard of 97.7.
Bob and Tom in the morning.
They have Bob and Tom, and I've never heard of them.
Just an annoyance. But then it started affecting.
Wait a minute. How can you have Bob and Tom and then force an advertiser to take off size does matter?
When I learned about robotics.
How does that work?
With a simple outpatient procedure, I was back to normal.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new sponsor, Bruno's Perbacco in Elkhart. And you'll get half off pizzas on Family Day with a moi starting on October 22nd. Swizzle Dizzle.
What's the difference between a bed from Elkhart Bedding and a national brand? Two things.
Well, I'm getting a lot of premium content to them. They get to find out how our satellite got jacked up and they also got to witness the birth of a brand new sponsor. All of that happening.
So Darcy officially got the position.
Okay, I heard somebody congratulate her in the hallway today, but I didn't hear what about, and I assumed.
The email got sent out earlier today. So she's officially program director.
Okay, which we knew. We knew, and I.
They put out the job ad. I guess like
you're required to. Yeah, you have to put it out. So even if you know who you're going to hire, you're required by law to post the job. It's stupid. It is literally stupid.
Hey Darcy, you want the job?
Yeah. Well, I hate it too.
She could not want the job.
Darcy wanted it. She's been running the station anyway for months.
Yeah,
and she's done a good job of doing it.
Or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage.
I know, but she's been doing it. She's been doing a good job, and
but she could not want the job either way, though. She could have just been doing it out of necessity.
I think she wanted it. it seemed like she wanted it. So
good for her.
Yep. Yeah, I heard somebody congratulate her today. I assume that's probably what was going down. So good for her. She'll do fine. Plus, she cusses at assholes. So, which, let's be honest, those are my type of people.
Agreed.
This is Casey Hendrickson on News Talk.
You want to go back?
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go back to the president's press conference and see if he's kind of shifted into Syria and possibly the impeachment.
At what we're doing with countries and the relationships we have with countries, but maybe putting it a different way. The worst mistake that the United States has ever made, in my opinion, was going into the Middle East. It's a quagmire. We are up to close to $8 trillion, and we're bringing our folks back home. We have great, talented military. We're bringing it back home. Our military has never been stronger, but we're now acting as police. We're policing areas. We're doing jobs that other countries should be doing. We're doing jobs, frankly, that Europe should be doing. We're doing jobs that Russia should be doing, that Iran should be doing, that Iraq, Turkey, Syria should be doing. They should be doing this. We shouldn't be doing it. We're 7,000 miles away.
Mr. Graham is talking about imposing economic sanctions on Turkey over this incursion into Syria. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's okay. I've already told that to President Erdogan. Far more than sanctions. I'll do far more than sanctions. Lindsay, and I'd feel differently. I think Lindsay would like to stay there for the next 200 years and maybe add a couple of 100,000 people every place. But I disagree with Lindsay on that. But I will tell you that I do agree on sanctions, but I actually think much tougher than sanctions if he doesn't do it in as humane a way as possible. But I've gotten him to stop for virtually from the first day that I was in office. But they've wanted to fight, and that's the way it is, and they've done it for so long. Yes, go ahead, please.
So what does as humane a way as possible actually mean?
Well, we're going to have to see. We're going to have to define that as we go along. They want to, if you listen to Erdogan, he wants to have people go back to where they came from, go back to Syria. Right now, he's holding, in all fairness to him, he's holding millions of people. That would be all over the place if he wasn't holding them. So he wants to repatriate. He wants to have them go back into the area that he's looking at. But we'll see. We'll see how he does it. He can do it in a soft manner. He can do it in a very tough manner. And if he does it unfairly, he's going to pay a very big economic price.
President, you said with the letter that you sent up to Nancy Pelosi yesterday, you appeared to declare war on the impeachment inquiry. Can you tell us in your own words why you think it is incumbent upon the House to hold a full vote to authorize an inquiry? And if they were to hold a vote and it were to be positive, would you then cooperate with the inquiry?
Well, let me just say that the Republican Party and President, but the Republican Party has been treated extremely badly by the Democrats, very unfairly, because they have a tiny margin in the House. They have eviscerated the rules. They don't give us any fair play. It's the most unfair situation people have seen. no lawyers, you can't have lawyers, you can't speak, you can't do anything. You virtually can't do anything. And then on top of it, they have a guy named Schiff, and Nancy Pelosi knows all this because she's just as guilty as he is. But you have a man named Schiff, where I had a perfect phone call with the president of Ukraine. Perfect. People read it, but they don't read that. They heard Schiff's version of it. He defrauded the American public. He gave the most horrible rendition, adding his own words. I mean, Mark Meadows is here. I think I can say honestly, Mark, you didn't believe it when you heard it. Right. And Mark's never heard anything like it. And many of the people that we work with, including Democrats, have never heard anything like it. He made up a phone call. He made it up. Because what happened is they spoke about a day too early. They heard a whistleblower who came out with a false story. You know, people say, oh, it was fairly close. It wasn't close at all. What the whistleblower said bore no relationship to what the call was. We have a transcribed call done by professionals. And the call was a perfect call. But Schiff made it up. Then it turns out that the whistleblower was in cahoots with Schiff. Then it turns out that the whistleblower is a Democrat, strong Democrat, and is working with one of my opponents as a Democrat that I might end up running against. The whole thing is a scam. It's a fix. And we wrote a letter yesterday, and probably ends up being a big Supreme Court case. Maybe it goes a long time. I don't know. But the Republican Party has been treated unbelievably badly and unfairly by the Democrats, John.
But again, sir, if they held a vote in the full House and the vote were to authorize, would you cooperate?
Well, we would if they give us our rights. It depends. If they vote and say you can't have lawyers, you can't ask questions, you can't have anybody present, all of these crazy things. And even some of the reporters said to me, it really is an unfair situation. They ask all the questions, and then, for instance, the ambassador who testified was a fine gentleman. He gave great testimony for us. But we don't get to do any of that or show any of that. So they brought out only the couple of negative things, all which were knocked out by his other statements. It was a great witness for us. But if you would have listened to them, you would have said it was a better witness for them. It wasn't. It wasn't even close. He was a fine gentleman. And we saw that, and we said, that's very unfair. Yes?
Mr. President, there are reports this afternoon that the Chinese are lowering their expectations for a trade deal. Are you also lowering your expectations for a trade deal?
No, I don't think so. I think they feel that I'm driving a tough bargain, but I have to. You know it better than anybody. You do a good job over there. Watch a lot. We are so far down in terms of where we started from presidents that didn't do their job for many years. Since the World Trade Organization founding, China went in 2001 or so. China went in and just ripped off the world. So, and I told that to President Xi. I said, you know, this can't be like a 50-50 deal. Because a 50-50 deal, you're like up there, we're down here. So a 50-50 deal doesn't work, right? You got to have a little balance. This has to be a better deal from our standpoint. And I think they fully understand it. One of the really good meetings I had today was with our people on opioids and drugs and fentanyl in particular with respect to your question. And they said that Chinese leadership has a lot of respect for our president. And they are really being much more careful. It's a much different situation. We have some great drug numbers. Now, what is great drug? If you're down 15, 16, 20, 25%, it's still horrible what's going on in this country and in the world. In the whole world, it's horrible. But no, I think they have a lot of respect for us. The first time they've ever respected us. I think China has a lot of respect for me and for our country and for what we're doing. And I think they can't believe what they've gotten away with for so many years.
Are the Chinese wrong to be putting pressure on the NBA, sir?
Well, the NBA is a different thing. I mean, I watch this guy, Steve Kerr, and he was like a little boy. He was so scared to be even answering the question. He couldn't answer the question. He was shaking. I don't know. He didn't know how to answer the question. And yet he'll talk about the United States very badly. I watched Popovich, sort of the same thing, but he didn't look quite as scared, actually. But they talk badly about the United States, but when it talks about China, they don't want to say anything bad. I thought it was pretty sad, actually. So are you okay? It'll be very interesting. Excuse me?
Are you okay then with the Chinese government pressuring the NBA over Hong Kong?
They have to work out their own situation. The NBA they know what they're doing, but I watched the way that, like, Kerr and Popovich and some of the others were pandering to China, and yet to our own country, it's like they don't respect it. It's like they don't respect it. I said, what a difference. Isn't it sad? It's very sad. To me, it's very sad. John?
Mr. President, Joe Biden came out for the first time today and said you should be impeached. Your response?
Well, he's falling like a rock. We have him on tape with corruption. I mean, he's getting the prosecutor for, I guess, John, it was $2 billion, saying we're not going to give you the $2 billion or whatever the amount was unless you get rid of this prosecutor. And then he goes, lo and behold, the prosecutor was gone. And that was the prosecutor. Excuse me, John?
$1.2 billion.
$1.2 billion, not a lot of money. And then his son takes out $1.5 billion from China. And by the way, the $50,000 a month that he was getting from Ukraine looks like it's $168,000 split among him and somebody else, his friend. And also there's a payment of about $3 million to his son. His son just got thrown out of the Navy. So Biden is dropping like a rock. I don't think he's going to make it. I didn't think he was going to make it for a long time. I don't think he's going to make it. And I guess this is one way he can do it. You know, he didn't say that until right now, and he sees what's happening to him. I guess he's no longer the front runner. But look, I feel badly for him because I know he's going through a lot. He's been hit, and he's been caught red-handed. I mean, here's a man who is on tape saying exactly what he's going to do in terms of corruption, and he gets away with it. If that ever happened to a Republican, they'd be getting the electric chair right now. They'd be right now being walked into the electric chair. It's a whole different standard. What Joe Biden said on tape, this isn't like, gee whiz, we think. What he said on tape, and the fake media doesn't want to play the tape. They hardly play it. So I feel, that it's too bad what's happened to him. He's sinking and his campaign's sinking. But he walked away with hundreds of, you look at the kind of numbers. His son, who is at best incompetent, got thrown out of the Navy. I don't even want to say why. A subject that we just discussed. I don't want to say why. But he gets thrown, and all of a sudden he's making a deal with Ukraine where they're getting $168,000 a month between the two of them. $168,000, and he gets $3 million payments, and all of this money coming out, and the kid has no expertise in energy, and it's an energy company. He has no expertise. You and I both know much more than he does, John. And then you walk into China, and a couple of days later, 10 days later to be exact, he gets $1.5 billion out of China. And he's got no expertise. And I have friends that are the smartest people on Wall Street. I said, is that possible? They say, no, it's not possible. It's a pretty sad situation. Please.
I just want to clarify something you said earlier. If Pelosi holds a vote on the floor on impeachment and commits to the rules of previous impeachment proceedings, you'll participate in that investigation?
Yeah, if the rules are fair, because I don't know exactly your definition. If Republicans get a fair shake, because the Republicans have been... Look, we were very nice to them. When Paul Ryan was the Speaker, he really wouldn't give subpoenas. And I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent. Here's a man that knows it very well. They go in with all of the corruption that you've been reading about and all of the things that they did wrong with Comey and all of these people and all of the things they did wrong. When we wanted a subpoena, meaning they wanted a subpoena, it was very hard to get it, and I'm not sure he ever even issued a subpoena. And Nancy Pelosi issues subpoenas, come on in and get them, gives them to Nadler, gives them to Crooked Schiff. This Schiff is one crooked guy. The guy made up my phone call. Think of it. In the United States Congress, he made up my phone call. And I've had people that said, I didn't like the way you talked to the Ukrainian president. I said, did you read my speech? No, I heard Shifty Schiff. I heard Schiff. I said, that's how I said. I said, well, let me see what he said. A lot of people saw that. And frankly, I think if it wasn't for me, I don't know if anybody would have even noticed and called him out. He took my really, believe it or not, congenial and gentle words And he made me sound like a tyrant. It's a terrible thing. He defrauded the American public. I mean, honestly, I don't know what can happen, but there are those that say he should be prosecuted for what he did. He should certainly be impeached, but he should be prosecuted for what he did. And I think he's a very bad leader of this movement. Yes, please.
On the phone call, there's a new report out today that the whistleblower says a White House official came to him and said you committed a crime on that call. Did any White House official express any concern to you or speak to you about that phone call?
It's all a big con, don't you understand? Look, the phone call, you have it. It's the transcript. That's why they keep saying, oh, the whistleblower said this and that. What happened is if they would have seen the transcript early, they wouldn't have had a whistleblower because he wouldn't have said there was nothing he could say. All you have to do is read the transcript. Very calm. And what's even more important than the transcript in a certain way, although I think the transcript is the most important because it was really plain vanilla. No emotion, no nothing. These are crooked people that are doing. These are Democrats headed by a Democrat lawyer, a big Democrat lawyer. This is a con job. This is a con being perpetrated on the United States public and even the world. And the world is watching, and they get it better than a lot of other people. It's very interesting. But a poll just came out today. Very small people want to see something, even though I only get negative press from you people. Not you necessarily, but that's the way it is. So I say this, look, all you have to do is read the transcript. But you know what's almost as good as the transcript, I think, is the Ukrainian president saying he didn't even know what they were talking about. No pressure. The foreign minister of Ukraine saying no, it was a very normal call. There was no pressure at all. What is bad is when you see all of the elements, when you see that Schiff saw the whistleblower, when you see what the whistleblower said about the phone call, and it was totally different. He made it up. And I don't know why a person that defrauds the American public should be protected. Okay?
Your administration tried.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once again, that was President Trump. He's giving a press conference answering questions now about impeachment, about Syria. He had some very interesting comments about that. I know that we're a little bit late. I also just found out that several stations who normally don't hear this show are hearing the show now because of some satellite issues. I want to welcome you to the audience. If you want to go ahead and follow along or watch the live stream, we are broadcasting live on YouTube right now at youtube.com/Casey the host. That's CASEY. We're also broadcasting on Twitch at twitch.tv/Casey the host. And we'll cover some of the stuff that the president said in his press conference coming up on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Weather served up by the Prime Table in Niles. 26 years of exceptional food, tremendous service, and great people. Visit Prime Table today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Now, your home comfort experts heating.
Yeah, so the moment Trey Gowdy joined the president's legal team, Fox fired him. Oh, wow. Some big changes at Fox right now. Hannity seems like he's not happy. I don't know, there's a whole host of things.
Much cooler weather for the weekend. Sunny, breezy with a high of 50 on Saturday, 56 in sunshine on Sunday, and 58 in sunny on Monday. In the ABC 57 First Morning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tom Coombs. This is ABC 57 meteorologist Tom Coombs. Rain or shine, your First Morning Neighborhood Weather Center forecast is on 95.3 MNC. Plus, you can plan ahead with the 5-day forecast at 16 and 46. Weekday mornings during Michiana's Morning News and on the drive home with Casey Hendrickson. As always, when severe weather threatens, depend on us for expanded weather coverage until the storm passes through. On News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines the prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication that treats ED
All right, Alex.
at affordable prices. And Hims,
Look, Schiff has broken the law, period.
right now, get your first
He's done it repeatedly.
totally free when you go to 4hims.com/joy. Sure beats paying for an in-office doctor's appointment, doesn't it? Plus, you won't need to deal with awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. Hims connects you to doctors online.
All right, so get used to going to Bruno's on Tuesday in Elkhart.
Right to your door. HIMS makes it affordable.
because they just came on today as another sponsor.
And that's really good news.
So we'll be doing that.
You need to go to this exclusive address,
It looks like Rain Drain's going to join us as well.
forhims.com/joy for your free online visit. forhims.com/joy.
Hi, this is Dwayne Miller with Good Faith Management, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house that want to
What's up, Griffin?
for a fair price, call me at 574-294-5678. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition.
Oh, Happy, that's her go-to insult. She always says, bite me.
Realtor or associated with any realty company. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy even more. Call me at 574-294-5678.
Did you hear about the announcement of the PS5?
What's that?
The PS5 got announced for like 2021 or whatever.
Officially? Did they release anything else or just the announcement?
It was kind of mediocre. It was just like a tweet.
2020?
2020 or 2021.
Oh, okay.
It's like soon. It's like soon enough that like buying a PS4 would be pointless. That's soon.
That's 574-294-5678.
Hi, I'm Chris Kramer from C. Kramer Interiors. The lines that we carry
Release date is currently set for holiday 2020.
white, Hancock and
So really a year from now. Okay.
furniture. Why do we carry these lines?
So you've got another year of your PS4.
You know what would make the PS4 and its games less pointless?
Is if they have backwards compatibility. Right. Which we'll see. PlayStation hates their backwards compatibility,
I would
man.
be willing to buy a PS5 so I could play God of War.
Yeah, absolutely. What up, Home Skillet?
But I'm not going to buy a PS4 at this point. This PS5 released. Here's some stuff for the talking points for Southwest Vision side. I made the text extra big since you just turned 40 last week.
Yes, but I get my eyes taken care of by Southwest Vision Center. All right, good deal.
Take a read through it.
Okay.
Just so that I'll get you, obviously you'll be more informed once you have your dry eye exam.
Some of you has a Flex Money.
I typed it really fast. I was trying to cross the finish line.
Okay, so some of you have Flex Money? Or
HSA
what?
is what it's
HSA.
So healthcare savings
Huzzah!
account. Healthcare savings account. Some people's Flex Money literally disappears January 1 at midnight.
I know, because even though they started allowing those to roll over, some plans still haven't adjusted for that.
Well, a lot of them are
Which
still
is some
like
crap.
January. They're still.
It's your damn money.
They're still fixed, but some of them
That's right.
are like. Some of them you actually can use it like through the end of April. I'm like, that's great because you know, that's great. It gives you even more flexibility.
Yeah. No, I know for a while there, people just lost it. I mean, it disappeared if you didn't do something with it. Well, didn't they start to allow HSA money to be used for like insurance premiums and stuff too? Or no, or was that just a discussion that happened?
I'm not sure, but one of the things is once you're identified with dry eye, you can use your Flex Money to help pay for the treatment.
Yeah.
So if they offer you some sort of option and you're like, I don't know if I can afford the solution that they suggested. Well, guess what? That Flex Money, it's a lot of times Flex Money eligible. So
Okay, cool.
that's all.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. The president is still talking at his press conference, but now he's kind of shifted over into the economic stuff. He's talking about the Chinese coming to town tomorrow. And remember, we just had a deal with South Korea. The deal was signed with Japan yesterday. Those are big trade deals. And China's coming to town tomorrow. And, you know, he's consistently won that battle with China. They've acquiesced several times, and then they seem to, something happens and they try to pressure again. They do it for a little bit and then they kind of falter. We went over some of the economic numbers from China about 3 weeks ago. They're not doing well. And I think that China, I'm hoping that China is at the point now where they're saying, there's not much more that we can do. We've got to resolve this because we're getting our backsides handed to us. And then you've got South Korea, you've got Singapore, you've got Vietnam, you've got all of these countries saying, hey, give us all of the business that you were going to give China. Did you know that Singapore actually just surpassed the United States in, was it economic opportunity or something like that? Let me look. I have it in my show prep, but I have to search for it because I've got so much stuff today. Everything has been, U.S. has dipped in competitiveness index. Singapore now takes the top spot. So we had surged with competitiveness after President Trump was elected, and we regained that top spot. But now Singapore is, and Singapore is that emerging market that they're probably going to be, Singapore and Vietnam are going to be fighting out who's going to be the next China as far as the economic go-to for American companies will be overseas. Anyway, the president, who was just talking in his press conference, and I don't have a lot of time because I'm on a little bit of a hard break here, but he mentioned that the impeachment probe is illegitimate. It is. I've gone over this many times with all of you. The rules were changed. I will probably go into great detail about that here in a little bit. But this is not an official impeachment inquiry where they go through the legal process, where the accused, which would be the president, his rights are being respected. There's cross-examinations and everything else. That's not happening. This isn't an actual impeachment probe. Okay, that's not what's going on. But people are confused that these rules have been changed and things of that nature. So the White House said we're not going to participate in it. The reporters, several of them, asked him the question multiple times in different ways to see if he answered the same way. Said, if there's an official vote on this with the whole House, will you cooperate? And he said he would. So he's basically saying, I'm not going to cooperate with something that violates my rights. If you do it the proper constitutional way, we'll cooperate. But until then, we're not going to. Trey Gowdy has joined his team, former representative from South Carolina, former prosecutor. By the way, he was fired by Fox News. People on the live stream know this. Trey Gowdy was fired by Fox News immediately after he joined the president's legal team as outside counsel. And then the president also talked about the Kurds and Turkey. And he said, look, since I've been here, I've been doing everything I can to keep Turkey and the Kurds from fighting each other. He goes, but they want to fight, and at some point, we have to make a decision on what we're going to do. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, what the president said. I'm not quoting him. And he said, that's it. Turkey is going to have to do this in a responsible way. People were pushing him for definitions on that. He said, that's going to change as we go. Now, again, reports are that 7 civilians have been killed today. We don't know if that's true or not. We'll have to continue to weigh in on this. And, people have been sending me text messages too, like, hey, you abandoned the Kurds and you send a terrible message to your allies. I agree with that. I've been saying that going back to Bush Sr. The reason that Iraq fell apart a year after the successful invasion was because the people didn't rise up the way that we wanted them to, because previously when we were over there, we asked them to rise up and then we pulled out, left them on their own, and they got slaughtered. So that certainly does have waves, 100%. I agree with that position. But, the two of them want to fight. I don't know what you do. You stand there and protect them the entire time? Or do you eventually just say, we're not going to get in the middle of two allies fighting each other, and we're just going to back away from this thing? All right, we got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, and 95.3MNC.com.
MNC News Time is 4:33. I'm Brooklyn Baby in the MNC News Center with our top local stories this afternoon. A man charged in the shooting death of a woman at the Roadway Inn is back behind bars and facing new charges following his arraignment.
It sounded like you said you wanted to abandon the Kurds, Casey. Listen to the whole segment again, please. Please.
Partnership with the state, which has been moved to October 15th. The board also discussed the qualifications they are seeking in their next superintendent. And many of the ads you click on online are likely designed to make you a scam victim. Marjorie Stevens with the Better Business Bureau says scammers have found they are more likely to be successful in stealing your money if they take the time to design ads.
What a day. Found out my health insurance went down for this next year. Well, that's good, John. Glad to hear that.
Stevens says the median losses were around $600. You can learn more.
Better coverage, lower price. That's good.
News is protected by ZX Gun, your single source for personal protection.
Brad wants cheese curds.
Check out a full line of quality handguns, shotguns, rifles, accessories, and more. MNC News Time is 4:35.
Weather sponsored by
This is just going to be a friggin' foreign policy show, I guess, huh? Press conferences and stuff. By the way, Barr is coming to town. He's going to speak at Notre Dame. I'm going to do what I can to get an interview with him, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
Friday, a big change. We'll top out in the 70s, but temperatures tank Friday afternoon with wind and rain. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, Chief Meteorologist Tom Poon.
I'm Maria Bartiromo, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Optimism on Wall Street, sending stocks soaring today. The Dow closing up 182, the Nasdaq up 80, the S&P up 20. Today's gains come ahead of trade talks tomorrow with China.
Got Pog on Twitch. What's up? Boy, the YouTube censors don't like Bite Me. Alex had to step away, so I've got to take care of it. Hi, Rose. How are you? You know, I haven't been able to get a hold of the vice president since he became vice president.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. 30% of
Now, this will be interesting.
Call 255-4600.
Nancy.
Why does he say your name like that?
From the network that brought you Riverdale.
From what I hear, you got a lot of stories. Finding missing kids, solving cases when the cops couldn't.
I've never been like the other kids. I chase the shadows.
Tonight, the CW brings you the highly...
She's edgy, Tracy.
Who is?
Nancy Drew.
Nancy Drew's edgy?
She's edgy. She's edgy and cool now.
They didn't like Screw either. I don't censor that. Which is weird, because you would think that YouTube would enjoy the word screw, considering they screw so many of their people.
We're all murder suspects.
Nancy Drew.
What can I say? Girls love mystery.
Following the season premiere of Riverdale tonight on the CW. Starting tonight at 8, followed by ABC 57 News at 10, all on CW 25.
Did they say why your insurance went down but your coverage went up? Did they give an explanation for it, or did they just tell you what the new prices were?
Friday, October 11th at 8 p.m. $20 get you in club located in the lower level of the 5-star dive bar and includes buffet-style dinner and dessert at 7 p.m. and admission to the band on the main level after the show. Each Friday, the club welcomes national touring comedians with television, movie, and music experience. This week at 8 p.m.
That's a long press conference. He's still talking. So we're not going to do all of the press conference today, but God, Happy, you're scaring off new people. Look at you. We're just ornery is all, Rose. That's all. We're just ornery. I'm going to start calling Julian Castro an alleged presidential candidate now. Because he's still polling at 0%. And he's still a presidential candidate. And he's still doing stunts to try and get attention.
Your single source for personal protection. Stop in today for the largest selection of handguns, AR rifles,
Joe, does this lady on Judge Judy, is that actual hair on that little swoop on her head, or is that her real hair and then a wig over it, but her hair is exposed underneath the wig?
I believe so.
She's on TV, because I couldn't tell if it was like painted on hairline, like some people shave off their eyebrows and paint their eyebrows on.
I do believe that it's a little off.
This girl, who by the way is very attractive, this girl's on Judge Judy right now, and she's wearing a wig, but it looks like her real hair underneath the wig is sticking out and doing like a little swoop right here, and it looks like her head's been airbrushed. She's on TV. Now, I will say this, her hair still looks better than Judge Judy's, which isn't saying much.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Don't forget, we are live streaming on youtube.com/CaseyTheHost, twitch.tv/CaseyTheHost. And you can follow me on social media at Casey the Host on Facebook and Parler. And if you want to follow me on Instagrams, where I do my knives, my holsters, my 3D printing, it's at ASD Knives. And since some of you are not normal listeners, since we had some satellite issues with the company today, I just found out here recently that my show is being pushed to several stations that don't normally get this show. So I want to welcome you to the audience. Again, you can follow me online. You can also, listen to your radio, or you can go to 953mnc.com, click on the streaming there, or download the free 953MNC app if you decide that you want to continue to listen to me after normal programming comes back, which happens quite a bit, believe it or not. And get the free app in the app store of your choosing, and then you have all of our news, and then you'll be able to go ahead and listen to live MNC programming. All right, want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range, located in New Carlisle, Indiana. Again, they have 10 dedicated shooting lanes with rifle and pistol. If you mention me, you get 50% off your range time. Today's Wednesday. Kids shoot free with a shooting parent today, so teach your children responsible firearm ownership and handling. Go to secondamendmentarms.net for more information. Julian Castro, who is allegedly still a presidential candidate, he escorted 12 migrants to the Texas border from Mexico. I think he's the third or fourth presidential candidate who has done this, where they've gone and they take migrants on the other side. Now, they're being held in Mexico per the new law. So they're being held in Mexico awaiting their hearing for asylum. Remember, 99% of them, and by the way, I still think I'm overestimating how many of them would actually qualify for asylum, but 99% of them do not actually qualify for asylum. They're just coming to the United States for economic reasons, and that's going to get them turned right around. So this new deal that we have, the new law and the new arrangement with Mexico, is that they stay on the Mexican side of the border until their hearing. They come in, they have their hearing, and if they're approved, they get to come into the United States under our asylum laws. If they're not approved, they go right back to where they were coming from. Mexico can decide to keep them or not. It's up to Mexico what they want to do. Now, according to the Los Angeles Times, the migrants consisted of a deaf woman from El Salvador and her 3 relatives, along with 8 gay and lesbian asylum seekers from Cuba, Guatemala, and Honduras. So Julian Castro, he went across the border and he found every Democratic Party base group that he could tick and put them in there. Disabled, LGBTQ. We're going to go ahead and throw all of them in there. And I didn't just go across the border and save migrants from these downtrodden countries. No. I went across the border and I found all of the people that we pretend to stand up for and bring them across. By the way, it's interesting that somebody from Cuba would go through Mexico. I know it happens. It's just typically it's a little bit easier for them to get through with Florida, although more treacherous. The stunt by Castro, who previously served as the mayor of San Antonio and Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under the Obama administration, was executed to illustrate his opposition to a policy barring migrants to seek asylum from staying in the United States before their court dates. Now, why do we not want them to stay in the United States before their court dates? Because 98% of them never come back for the court date and they disappear into the country, never to be seen again until they are either found or they commit some other crime and are detained. This Remain in Mexico program is a complete disaster, he said. No, it's not. It's actually the wisest move. And by the way, a lot of the people, once they realize, we did this story several weeks ago, once they realize they can't stay in the United States and they have to stay on the Mexican side of the border until they're hearing, they choose to go home. Okay? So again, they're not seeking actual asylum. They are economic migrants. They don't want to live in the country that they live in, which, for the record, I can appreciate. This is the greatest place on earth. There's a reason that more people try to come here than anywhere else on earth. I get that. However, we have laws and we have a process. As flawed as the process might be through legal channels, it is the process, and you can't abuse that. So anyway, what is interesting about this particular case is that Castro went across the border, found them, brought them back across into the United States, and you know what the Border Patrol did? Sent them all back. Said, no, this isn't how it works. Just because you're a presidential candidate doesn't mean you get to go take people and illegally bring them into the United States. You can't do that, and they sent them all home. The Border Patrol responded to the display by following the law, returning the migrants that Castro used as props back to Mexico by 5 p.m. local time. They not only went back to Mexico, they went back that day. So let me just ask a question. I realize that he has 0% in the polling, but do you really care about those people if you were bringing them across the border in violation of U.S. law to where they had to be sent back to Mexico to await their hearing? Or were you just exploiting them for your campaign? Which is exactly what people keep doing to these immigrants who are trying to come to the United States. They keep getting exploited by people. Like I said, being pro-open borders is pro-indentured servitude. I've seen it. I grew up with it. It's too commonplace in this country. And for the most part, people who support this, like Castro and most of the Democratic field, if not all of them, they want cheap labor to be in the United States, to be exploited at lower than standard wages, with less vacation time, less benefits, and things like that, because it's cheaper to have those people caring for your kids and cleaning your homes and doing those menial jobs you need done around the house without you having to hire somebody that's going to cost you a lot more who is in this country legally or as a U.S. citizen. And it's shameful that people accept this type of behavior from people in our society. We have more coming up on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Weather served up by the Prime Table Restaurant in Niles. Does your family or group meet regularly for breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Just call the Prime Table to reserve tables for your next gathering.
Now, your home comfort experts, heating specialists 5-day forecast.
A big change happens on Friday. Leading up to it, we're still mild. Thursday, 74, partly cloudy, 60s Thursday night. Friday will top out with a high of 72, but temperatures drop.
I'll be back with you guys in just a minute. Hold on.
70s to 40s. We'll see wind and rain and much cooler weather for the weekend. Sunny, breezy with a high of 50 on Saturday. 56 and sunshine on Sunday. And
A high of 50 on Saturday? Oh, man. It's going to be tougher and tougher to ride the motorcycle.
95.3 MNC and Final Phase Electric are officially kicking off the countdown to the 2020 presidential election with the 4th annual noise on Saturday, November 2nd at Center 615 in Elkhart. Our special guests this year are 95.3 MNC and Fox News host and best-selling author Brian Kilmeade, and Townhall.com editor, Fox News contributor, and best-selling author Katie Pavlich. Really excited to have her with us. General admission tickets are on sale now for just $40. We do offer group discounts too. Each attendee will get a copy of Brian's brand new book, Sam Houston. That is a pre-release copy. You'll actually have that.
No, because he took them to a port of entry, Brad. It's just, so if you go to a port of entry, you're not illegally entering the United States. You're basically just trying to get into the country. So it's silly. If the roads are dry, we ride. There you go. I've got to get a winter jacket.
Your breaking news and weather station.
When those giant scissors come out for a grand opening ceremony, it's the staff that's in the photo. Behind the scenes of any office or industrial build are numerous contractors tirelessly taking dreams from drawing board to reality with precision, on schedule, and on budget. From the very first step to the final phase. You need the trusted experience of a team who knows how to get the job done. Final Phase Electric has the tools and the experience to make your dreams a reality and can step in at any time to assess your project with a level of unmatched precision that throws guesswork out the window. We believe in positive results through positive people, and we're positive that we can help you with your commercial or industrial project. One call does it all. 574-522-4444. That's 574-522-4444. Let us take the guesswork out of your project and help you sleep easy. You've got better things to do. Let us hook you up. Find Final Phase Electric on Facebook or visit finalphaseelectric.net.
This message is for all those stream-happy, data-loving smartphone junkies out there. Oh, millennials, we're not talking about you. We're talking about the generation that brought you into this world. That's right. If you've ever raised a rocket 8-track or lit lava lamp, then you'll want to hear this.
40 minutes to go, Joe.
55 only from T-Mobile. If you're 55 or older, you can get 2 lines, unlimited everything for just $70 a month with AutoPay. That's right, 2 unlimited lines, just $70. All things included.
Just 40 more minutes.
Kids with another baby pic on Facebook, or crank your playlist to 11 because T-Mobile's got you covered. Don't settle for wireless plans that are all talk. Join us today and see for yourself why T-Mobile is America's most loved brand in wireless. Are you with us?
It's downstairs, but it's way too warm for this weather. Way too warm. I got my sweatshirt with me today. Yesterday, getting home was a little chilly. My feet were really cold when I got home yesterday.
Elkhart IMRG Chapter 1986 at Elkhart India Motorcycle on Saturday, October 19th from 4 until 8 p.m. We are looking for chili chefs and chili tasters. Bring your best chili, mild, hot, hotter than hot, cornbread, and your best dessert. If you always hear how great your chili is,
I got a Scout. Scout with a custom paint job.
October 16th to see if it's prize-worthy.
And then hopefully, if everything goes as planned, next year I'll be able to do my modifications to it. New exhaust, new seat, passenger pegs, that sort of stuff.
100% of the proceeds are going to St. Vincent de Paul.
Yeah, it's a 60.
Yakida Brewing Company will also be on hand with some delicious craft beer. Get to the 4th annual chili cook-off hosted by Elkhart IMRG.
Still want the bobber, but can't afford the bobber.
Indian Motorcycle.
And Indian Motorcycle are registered trademarks of Indian Motorcycle International LLC. Always wear helmet, not protection, protective clothing, pay the speed limit. Never ride under the influence of drugs or alcohol.
It's B-Windows Pick One Free sale.
Pick one free?
Yeah, you get a free Anderson or Marvin patio door or a free entry door.
What?
Well, you know, with a minimum purchase of Great B windows, siding, or bathroom.
Plus, I'll add in 12 months, no payments, no interest.
It's B-Windows Pick One Free sale.
For a limited time only.
Yeah, I have to get one uploaded here soon. I haven't had time to edit because I've been traveling so much. I have one video to get up, and once I get that up, then I can start recording new ones. I got to get it off the camera, but the camera I used for my audio was used for family vacation, and I've got to finish that video before I can use it because it used it up. It's all full. And the FTR, like they had the carbon fiber FTR there. I think it's gorgeous. Just it's a little tall. I don't know. I don't know if it would be comfortable to ride around with, but I'm sure they can adjust it. But God, that's a nice bike.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number, 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595-953. You can always send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. And ladies and gentlemen, 95.3 MNC and Final Phase Electric are officially kicking off the countdown to the 2020 presidential election with the 4th annual noise on Saturday, November 2nd at Center 615 in Elkhart. Our special guests this year are 95.3 MNC and Fox News host, best-selling author Brian Kilmeade, and townhall.com editor, Fox News contributor, and best-selling author herself, Katie Pavlich, is going to be here. Somebody sent me a message today and said that we need to be passing out rags and stuff to all of the guys that come into the building so they can stop drooling over Katie while she's here. And that way we prevent a slipping hazard on the floor. General admission tickets are on sale now for just $40. Every attendee will receive one copy of Brian's brand new book, Sam Houston. That is an advanced copy. You'll have it a few days before it's available to the general public. Tickets are available now at 953mnc.com or the 953MNC studios at 237 West Edison Road in Mishawaka. A group rate is available for parties of 10 or more. You can contact us about that. And again, it is Saturday, November 2nd, presented by Final Phase Electric and 95.3 MNC. And any of you who are listening outside of our normal market, I would encourage you to get your tickets and come as well. In fact, I took a bunch of listeners to our sister station in Fort Wayne's Talk Tank, and that was a blast. We actually had a limo. We took it all down, and it was a lot of fun. So if you are interested in great commentary and a good time, Brian Kilmeade, Katie Pavlich, you can't beat that anyway. It's going to be a lot of fun. So again, go to 953mnc.com, get your tickets online. We're closing shop here at the studio in 4 minutes, so you may not make it, but if you want to swing by, we do take cash or card during normal business hours. All right, so we just had the story about Castro, Julian Castro, who I call Julian affectionately. He brought several migrants across the border. Border Patrol obeyed the law, sent them back by 5 p.m. that night. And somebody had asked if he could be charged as a coyote. No, he took them to a port of entry, so he didn't technically break the law. He's just being stupid and using them as props, because that's all illegal immigrants are to a lot of folks in this country, is props. But now, an update on the border wall. So far, 71 to 89 miles of construction have been completed. It's between that number, okay? There is a new website called Trump Wall Construction. It went live recently with information on the current progress of the border wall. Remember, the goal is to get 509 miles built. This happened without a single vote from Democrats. The website includes an interactive map that has information on planning the current work in progress of the sectors of the border wall. It tells you where they are, what stage they are in, and everything else. So you can actually follow all of this. Pretty interesting. The creator of the website, Donaldo Magnus, obviously not their real name. Of course, it's a play on Trump being Magnus. Welcome to my website. I created this to be one-stop shop to find out all about the status of Trump's border wall. The fake news refuses to cover this in any kind of meaningful way other than shallow 30-second clips or short articles, or to say that no wall has been built, which is not true. Wall has been built. And here's the thing. Some of the wall that was built early on, they retrofitted old wall to be compliant with the new wall, and it became more effective. So they were saying, well, that's not new wall. Well, it is, because, it used to have people hopping over the thing, and now they can't hop over it. So now it's actually a barrier that works, as opposed to not working. I made Ann Coulter laugh when I was talking about that video of that guy who hopped the new section of the wall in San Diego and broke both of his legs, and how I thought that was funny. And she laughed, and she quickly realized that she was no longer the bad guy doing that interview, because Ann Coulter's so used to being the bad guy. Suddenly, it was me who was the bad guy, and I think that was a relief for her. I was frustrated that nobody was covering this in a way really understand exactly where the new wall was being built and where the existing wall was. The U.S.-Mexico border is 2,000 miles long. Didn't really understand exactly where the wall already was and where the new wall would be built. So with my interactive map, you can see exactly where the wall is being built, as well as current wall. They said that they're going to do their best to update those maps and keep it current. So you can do that. Again, the website is trumpwallconstruction.com. Is it .com? Hold on, I got to get to the... trumpwall.construction. Okay, trumpwall.construction. And so miles built, they have 89. Again, the goal is 509 plus. I think they said they wanted that done in a year or so. So again, you can go keep up with it there at trumpwall.construction. They have the interactive maps for all of that. Don't forget, you can watch online, youtube.com/Casey the Host or twitch.tv/Casey the Host. Make sure you like and subscribe while you are there. You can follow me on Facebook and Parler at Casey the Host, on Instagram at ASD Knives. More coming up on 95.3 MNC.
WTRC FM and HD1, Niles, South Bend, Elkhart.
Sounds like a cannon a little bit. It sounds like a cannon a little bit when that goes off. Let's be honest, this music is more entertaining anyway. It's more entertaining than the news. So I guess we haven't fixed the satellite yet.
Nope. 5 seconds. Ooh.
It's getting better.
It was doing about 35.
It's getting better. Satellite is moved in better position than it used to be by 5 seconds.
President insisting he's not abandoning Kurds who fought alongside the U.S. against ISIS. More live.
Elisa, President Trump stands by his decision on U.S. troops in Syria and the conflict. We have no soldiers in the
Alrighty.
getting out of the endless wars to do it. This as Turkey launches that offensive in Syria against the Kurds that has reportedly led to casualties. President Trump says he's warned the Turkish president on what would happen if they try to wipe out the Kurds.
I will wipe out his economy if that happens. I've already done it once.
The president says he would agree with sanctions on Turkey, but would not hesitate to do far more. He wasn't more specific.
Oh, that FTR is really, really nice, though. Really nice. That carbon fiber when they had in the showroom here a month or two ago was phenomenal.
I don't want to have spies in the White House. I want to be free to make calls. I don't think it's fair that somebody interprets a call. He didn't interpret it wrong. I don't mind a misinterpretation. This was a fraud.
He also accuses Democrats of unfair treatment in the impeachment investigation, but doesn't say whether the White House...
Yeah, I'm really not into those highway beasts, Warren. That's just, I don't know. I don't really like the look of them. And I suppose if I get to the point where I'm doing, really, really long road trips, I might have one around just to have something with the misses on it or something like that. But I'm not, it's not my thing, man. I'd like a skeleton, I really like the Super Dukes and things like that. So I'd like to have some variety, but
That's 95.3 MNC's Darren Wright reporting. If you feel like we should have had our first freeze of the year by now, you'd be right, but it's not normal though for us to go this long without seeing our first frost. However, we typically see it by October 5th. Each year we're seeing it pushed or that.
stop jinxing us by telling us we should have had a freeze already. I don't want to freeze. I'm enjoying the weather.
C-57 meteorologist Emily Kennedy. The first freeze is highly anticipated to help combat the looming EEE mosquito problem. Highs this weekend will be in the 50s, and several states to our west will be seeing snow in the next few days.
What reads do I have here in this hour? Because I'm probably just going to need to parse them out.
Indian
Okay.
and Southwest.
Indian.
And ESIG works.
I knew it. So I would say I knew that this was going to get complicated. All right, so I've got
all in this hour.
because they friggin' bury everything, and here they don't just bury everything in the 5 o'clock hour. They do it in the last half hour where I have absolutely no time anymore. So I'll spread them out so I can get them all out there. Speaking of Indian, we have Indian reads.
Elkhart, Indian, ESIG, and Southwest.
They have an event coming up too.
The chili cook-off that Darcy just did the read on.
Did she just do a read on the chili cook-off?
I think Darcy heard that, but you could do it again, I guess, if you wanted to. But, I mean, to just go over like in the last break.
Yeah, on the 19th, the chili cook-off. Then they have a Veterans Day event on the 9th of November.
Yeah. Indian, Southwest, and East.
All news, all the time.
So, Saturday, October 19th, 4 to 6 p.m. Or is it 4 to 8 p.m.? This is a terrible font.
Hi, I'm
4 to
Jim
8.
Carter, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's
They've got the
largest
best
mortgage
chili, the
lender.
hottest chili, cornbread. There's a cornbread contest and a best dessert contest. They're not playing around. That's
I'm not a big fan of chili.
what? Really?
You can quickly and
Not big
easily
soup,
put some
chili
of the
person.
equity in your
Yeah,
home
but it's
to
not
good
soup.
use by
I said
paying off
soup,
a lot of
chili,
that
as in like
high-interest credit
the
card
two of
debt.
them
A
together,
great way to
but
take
like
cash
they're
out
not
is
the
with
same
our
thing.
30-year
Okay.
fixed rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed
You got to
rate
register by the
mortgage
12th, though.
99%, APR 4.08%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN to learn
Yeah.
how taking cash out with a 30-year fixed mortgage might be the right solution for you. And for a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has
chili
ranked Quicken Loans
cook-off.
highest in the nation in customer satisfaction.
I might head over there for
primary
that.
mortgage origination. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com. For J.D. Power,
Decorate your spot for the most spirit votes.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Riley's back. It's a miracle, all thanks to a brand new treatment that's only available here in the U.S.
But Nancy Pelosi's drug plan would dry up life-saving innovation. Pelosi's plan means sweeping price controls and importing socialist policies from countries where drug access lags the U.S. by years. Innovation will be penalized with a new 65 to 95% tax on drug sales. In Medicare, the bill hits manufacturers with a massive new charge. America's free market.
I haven't seen pictures of the Challenger yet. Hold on.
the world and key to our economy. Socialist price controls and giant tax hikes will grind it to a halt. Tell Congresswoman Jackie Walorski to fight the Pelosi approach. No tax increases, no price controls, no creeping socialism. Let's support market-based reforms and competition.
Cool. Oh yeah, that's the way to compete.
Paid for by Americans for Tax Reform. Visit atr.org.
From the Final Phase Electric Studios. From the first step to the final phase, industrial and commercial electrical done right. This is Casey Hendrickson on News Talk 95.3,
Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595. 95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364, and please put MNC at the beginning of that message. I would like to thank our sponsors, Second Amendment Arms and Range. Once again, today's Wednesday. Kids shoot free with a shooting parent today. Teach them responsible firearm handling and ownership. Go to secondamendmentarms.net for more information. Tomorrow is the Defensive Pistol Open League night. So make sure you're prepared to go out there and engage in all of the activities that they do. There's usually a theme, so you work on certain skill sets and things like that. Really fun time. People enjoy it quite a bit. Go to secondamendmentarms.net for more information. Proposed budgets predict a $17 million loss for South Bend schools. Remember, the two school systems here in Michiana that people tend to run away from are Elkhart Community and South Bend Schools. The South Bend Community School Corporation is expecting to lose more students and more funding next year as projected in its 2020 budget. The budget was presented as part of a public hearing on Monday during the school board meeting. Janice Palmer, budget director, said that the district's education and operational funds are projecting to see combined loss of nearly $17 million next school year, with $140.3 million budgeted in the education fund, which includes salaries and benefits, technology for students, and educational support. The district predicts it will spend nearly $130.8 million. The funds are affected by student enrollment. So again, they have $140.3 million in the education fund. They are predicting to spend $130.8. Okay. Currently, South Bend Schools' fall enrollment is down by nearly 700 students, resulting in a $4.7 million loss of state tuition support. Now, here's the thing, okay? Here's how the layman reads this. The layman reads this going, oh my gosh, they're losing money. Now, I just told you that they're predicting to spend about $10 million less, a little bit under $10 million, a little bit over $9 million, less than they actually have budgeted, okay? What is happening is 700 students don't want to go there anymore or are not going there for various other reasons. So you're not getting money for students who don't go there, all right? This is a common tactic with some. I'm not accusing anybody here of this. I'm just giving you the outline of the budget. I'm just saying it is a common tactic for some to say, well, we're losing money. And then, again, to the casual observer out there, well, okay, why are they losing money? What's going on? Well, because hundreds of less students are going there. And you're not going to get funding for those students because they don't go there. That funding is going to go where the student goes. That is normal. It's not anything to panic about. It's not anything to be upset about. That's just what happens, okay? If you have, and I'm only throwing this out there because it's a nice round number. If you have $10,000 for a student, okay, then when that student doesn't go to that school anymore, you're not getting the 10 grand for that student at that school. So you're going to lose 10 grand, but you don't have to deal with that student. So I don't know why this math is hard for many people to understand. It is. It's not. It's kind of like we don't have the burden of that student anymore, and we don't have the financial benefit of having to deal with the burden of the student. Not that a student is a burden. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So anyway, 700 students. That's their enrollment is down. So that's $4.7 million loss of state tuition support. Palmer said that she has worked with a consultant who predicts enrollment numbers will continue to drop into next school year. By February's enrollment count, the district anticipates that it will lose 200 more students. That'll be 900. By next September's count, 300 students are expected to be gone. So the number keeps going up. We're over 1,000 students now. South Bend School spokeswoman Susan Gibbert, hope I got that correct, Guybert, said each student brings $6,867 of state tuition support. Okay. Again, state tuition support. That is not all funding sources. The 500 student drop could result in about $3.5 million loss, with $58 million budgeted in the operations fund, which includes building maintenance and improvements in transportation. The district predicts it will spend $55 million. So again, let's go back up to the first number. Okay. In the education fund, there's $140.3 million. They're projecting to spend $130.8. In the operations fund, they have $58 million. They're projecting to spend $55. Okay. Monetarily, they're in good shape. Okay. The headline says they're losing $17 million. And what you have is a bunch of headline readers who read the headline. Maybe they dive into the first couple of paragraphs and they run around. We're losing $17 million. You're not. Relax. This is actually showing that South Bend schools are doing well with their money. Okay. Revenue for the fund comes from St. Joseph County property taxes, as well as 15% transfer from the education fund. The operations fund will experience a revenue loss, Palmer said, due to the upcoming state-mandated circuit breaker property tax caps. Current estimates predict the district will lose nearly $13 million once property tax caps take full effect in 2020. The school board president, John Anella, pointed out that the district's anticipated fund balance for the education fund is projected to be around $19 million in January, will drop to $9.5 by the end of the next school year. An extensive drop can be seen in the operations fund balance too, starting at roughly $11.7 million and ending in $3 million. Between the double whammy of student losses and the education fund and property taxes, we're in a tough spot, Anella said. Not really. There is no double whammy of student losses. Okay? You don't have those students. You're not losing anything. If those students had never come to the school district, you would have never been paid. Okay? So they're leaving the school district. And the reasons that they're leaving the school district, I'm sure, are varied. But there are two school systems here that people run away from. Elkhart Community Schools, South Bend Schools. So hundreds of parents, hundreds of kids don't want to be in South Bend schools for whatever reason. All right? They're going to other school districts. And the reason for that is they're probably getting a better experience. So But they go ahead, and so it took way down in the middle of the article here for us to finally get to somebody hitting the panic button, in spite of the fact that they seem to be in pretty good monetary shape. In a previous report by the Tribune, Anella said that the corporation could ask taxpayers to approve a referendum next year that would allow it to collect additional taxes that would not be subject to the tax caps. So everybody's going the referendum route, and they're going to fearmonger on this. Keep in mind, they have $140.3 million in the education fund. They're projected to spend $130.8, so they're good there. And in the operational fund, they currently have, where did that go? $58 million in the fund, and they're projected to spend $55. Okay, they're doing okay. They're pretending that students who leave the district are now causing them to lose money. That's not how the math works. That's money that you're not entitled to because the student doesn't go there. Therefore, you would not have that money regardless. If the kid was never going there to begin with, you wouldn't have got that money. If the kid transfers out, you don't get that money. If the kid, God forbid, dies, you don't get that money from them anymore. Okay, that's just what is going to happen. And they're pretending that that is somehow a budget loss. It's not a loss. You are not being paid for a job you're not doing. Does that make sense? Let's think of it this way. If your job is to educate a child, but you don't have a child to educate, you're not going to get paid for a job of educating a child that you don't do, right? So think of it like contract work. So, but they're pretending, again, we're losing all of this money. No, hundreds of kids are choosing to leave your school district, and you're not going to get the money that comes attached to them from the taxpayer anymore. You shouldn't get that money. It should go to the school system that actually takes the kids in. But they're pretending that it's something entirely different, and it's not. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Backups and toll road trouble. Find out before you're delayed with traffic alerts to your smartphone. Details at 953mnc.com. Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Weather served up by the Prime Table in Niles. 26 years of
Ooh,
exceptional
yeah.
food, tremendous service, and great people. Visit Prime Table today for breakfast, lunch, or
Well,
dinner.
I am starting to run out of steam. Officially. It has been too long since I have eaten. On a positive note, Christine brought my pheasant. Yes. So I have pheasant to cook up tomorrow. But I don't think I have anything for today. My wife made some really good ribs last night.
Sunny, breezy with a high of 50 on Saturday, 56 and sunshine on Sunday, and 58 sunny on Monday. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, our chief meteorologist, Tom Coon. This is ABC 57 meteorologist Tom Coon. Rain or shine, your First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center forecast is on 95.3 MNC. Plus, you can plan
Give the
ahead
Indian
with
reading a
5-day
spray.
forecast.
You're dang right I do. Don't you forget it.
And on the drive home with Casey Hendrickson. As always, when severe weather threatens, depend on us for expanded weather coverage until the storm passes through. On News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Hi, this is Dwayne Miller with Good Faith Management, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast...
Corey, she was on the stream earlier. I mean, it's not great. It could be worse. It's not great. She's still in the hospital. She's going to be there. Last I heard, at least a couple more days. We'll see how much that has changed. But she was on the stream earlier. She's not now. I don't think. Yeah, so I got to look at that Challenger thing.
Do you own a house that is trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, because I love buying damaged houses too. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 574-294-5678 for a cash offer today. That's 574-294-5678.
Is this like, is the Challenger the thing to like replace the Chief Dark Horse or something? I'm looking at their tease video now.
I chase the shadows.
Tonight, the CW breaches a highly anticipated mystery series.
He saw ghosts.
Dead Lucy. People say she still haunts our town.
It's hard to keep a secret buried.
You think that guy killed his wife and you break into his house?
Such a badass.
I believe in looking for the truth.
The thrilling series premiere.
A socialite killed on parade night. We have to solve this case fast. We're all murder suspects.
Nancy Drew.
What can I say? Girls love mystery.
Nah.
Season premiere of Riverdale. Tonight.
Those are just tease shots. There's nothing substantive.
ABC 57 News at 10. All on CW25.
I mean, I see that one promo photo with the guy and the girl, but
Even your next vehicle. But you also want to buy from a dealer that you know and trust. And buying a car from a vending machine is
does it come without that front fairing?
Test drive the car first. And what happens if you have a question? You want a live local expert.
That might be interesting.
Solution is Lock Monday Fast Track from the Lock Monday.
So you have a fairing that you can attach to it pretty easily.
100% online and at your convenience. You view over 700 new and used vehicles, can apply for financing and instant approval, see your loan terms and payment, trade in your current vehicle, and secure your deposit. Then simply schedule a time for your vehicle to be delivered to your home or office. Wait, still want to test drive the car first? No problem. Schedule a test drive at any time. We're happy to help in person at any point. The Fast Track is only at LockMonday.com. Shop new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, GMC, Buick, Chevy, and Ford models. Plus, all makes and models of pre-owned vehicles in every budget. Over 700 vehicles. Get on the Fast Track to your next vehicle at LockMonday.com. Lock Monday Auto Group, our tradition of caring since 1954.
It's back and better than ever. October 17th through the 20th.
Oh yeah, speaking of Hillary, hold on.
The RV capital of the world. See hundreds of new 2020 RVs at special show pricing in our brand new paved display area. Buy it where it's built and save. Tickets just $10. Includes the show and the museum. Kids 15 and under free. Thursday through Sunday, October 17th through the 20th. The 64th annual Midwest RV Super Show.
Play some audio in this segment.
Visit RVshows.org for discount tickets.
Mark McGill, News Talk 95.3 MNC.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Got to tell you about Elkhart Indian Motorcycle. Funny, I had some listeners hop onto the live stream today. And hey, Casey, what bike did you end up getting? Of course, I got an Indian Scout 60. That's what I got. Did the custom paint on it. We'll be doing all of my modifications and everything on it this next year. Absolutely love it. For the record, I just wanted to take a moment and thank all of you listeners who say hi to me on the road. The past couple of weeks, I've been recognized, I think, every day that I've gone out, and I appreciate you all saying hi when you pass me. Sometimes I have my earbuds in, and I can't hear a thing that you're saying. So if I seem like I'm nodding to things I probably shouldn't be nodding to, it might be because I have my earbuds in. But again, I enjoy that. Thank you very much for saying hi and recognizing me. But obviously, I got my motorcycle at Elkhart Indian Motorcycle. They're a phenomenal dealership. I've got 2 listeners on the live stream right now who are praising that dealership. One of them drives an FTR, I should say rides an FTR, and that is a phenomenal bike. Just an absolutely amazing bike. Really set the motorcycle world ablaze. But I want to tell you about an event that is happening here in 10 days on Saturday, October 19th, starting at 4 p.m. Elkhart Indian Motorcycle at 3016 Brittany Court in Elkhart, Indiana is going to have their 4th annual chili cook-off, and they're going to have categories now. Categories include best chili, hottest chili, cornbread, and dessert. You can also decorate your spot for the most spirit votes. 100% of the proceeds will benefit the St. Vincent de Paul Christmas family adoption. Okay. So again, that is happening on Saturday, October 19th. So I hope that you will come out and enjoy some great food and great time. And Elkhart Indian Motorcycle has done their best to be a family-friendly environment for motorcycle enthusiasts and their loved ones. Again, go find out more at ElkhartIndianMotorcycle.com. Just click on the events page. And of course, you can check out their showrooms there and get your motorcycle serviced before the cold weather gets here. All right. While you're there, make sure you tell them that I sent you too. That always helps. It's always nice. They know that my listeners are going out there. All right. I want to play you some audio. I may have been wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Hillary Clinton may actually be trying to get back in this thing. Joe Biden is faltering. Elizabeth Warren is kind of surging, air quote, surging. She's really kind of staying in place, and just people are leaving Joe Biden. And Elizabeth Warren keeps getting caught lying. She's doubled down on her lie about being fired for being pregnant, even though she didn't have the certifications to keep the job. And I digress. Kamala Harris, nobody has heard from Kamala Harris in a long time. She's still hovering around third or fourth. Bernie Sanders had a heart attack, and he's old. Then you have Pete Buttigieg, who's like way in the back of the pack at like number 5. And then everybody beyond Pete Buttigieg is not even polling. So it's an interesting thing. So Hillary might be like, you know what, maybe I can get in this thing. I still think it's a long shot, but I want you to listen to what Hillary had to say herself, because this is also not great for Hillary, because this kind of comes off as she still has medical issues. Anyway, here's Hillary Clinton.
So maybe there does need to be a rematch. I mean, obviously, I can beat him again.
Okay. So Hillary said that she could beat him again. Remind me who's in the White House, Joe?
Donald Trump?
Not Hillary Clinton. That's the appropriate answer. Not Hillary Clinton. So Hillary, she could beat him again. Yeah, except she didn't beat him the first time. Maybe somebody should let her know she didn't beat Obama either, but I digress. Although, you know, she did get more popular votes on Obama in the Democratic primary. So in her mind, she beat Obama and she beat Trump, except she didn't get into the White House either time. She did get to visit the White House quite a bit as Secretary of State in between sending illegal emails and all of that stuff. But so she's out there saying that she beat him before and she could beat him again. Aha. Speaking of Hillary Clinton, something interesting has been coming out. We are learning an awful lot about Hillary and her email scandal again. See, this thing is not over. And I know that a lot of you are like, well, you know, it did end. No, it didn't end. There's still a whole fiasco that has to be dealt with. And there's an article that kind of came out. And what you might actually, because the media is not going to cover this, obviously, but the FBI, according to this latest report, the FBI had an oh bleep moment. So insert bad word here. A new book is alleging that the FBI agents looking into former Representative Anthony Weiner's, Democrat of New York's, messages to underage girls had an oh bleep moment when they discovered thousands of Hillary Clinton's private emails on his device. Remember, that was a big thing. This is the reason that, you know, for a long time I said, if anybody goes down, it's going to be Uma Abedin on this. I used to think that it was going to be the guy, but when the Anthony Weiner thing happened, you started to look like the Democrats were separating themselves from Uma Abedin. Okay, once you started seeing her emails show up in Anthony Weiner's laptop and that sort of thing, it became a whole problem. The New York Post reported that the moment is included in a new book from journalist James Stewart, Deep State, Trump, the FBI, and the Rule of Law, from the Post. Within hours of the September 26, 2016 search warrant, FBI technicians noticed that there were 340,000 emails on the laptop between Clinton and her top aide, Weiner's wife, Uma Abedin, who still has not divorced the guy. Many of them from domain addresses such as hillaryclinton.com and state.gov. Of course, those emails are not supposed to be sent to non-secure channels. At an FBI briefing later that week, one participant said that the revelation was like dropping a bomb in the middle of the meeting, but the discovery fell through the cracks because top FBI officials were overwhelmed by the Russia probe, Stewart wrote. A determined New York FBI agent was scared by what he had found and pressed his superiors to finish the job. I'm telling you that we have potentially 10 times the volume that Director Comey said that we had on the record, the agents recounted to Stewart. Why isn't anybody here? Well, that is a really, really good question. Of course, we ended up kind of learning that, you know, they didn't want to get to the bottom of that. And since they didn't want to get to the bottom of it, they didn't. Now, that investigation is now ongoing. And because that investigation is ongoing, you're going to run into people who say, why is he still going after Hillary? But you have to understand, that whole process is not done. We have discovered hundreds more examples of her abusing her authority in this whole process. Okay. So since the election, we've learned that she broke the law more than we previously learned. And I do want to remind everybody that we did have James Comey. He went out there, and James Comey did, in fact, tell everybody that, she broke the law. She should have known that she broke the law, but she wasn't sophisticated enough to know that she broke the law. But she did, and it's important that everybody remember that part. So this is, again, it's a fiasco. It's a mess. I get that, but it's also not over, and it's going to continue to be an issue as it comes up. And now that she's running around telling everybody that, maybe there needs to be a rematch. Okay, if you say so. But do you really want a rematch? Again, what is it, a three-peat for losing with her? But if that's what she really wants, then I suppose that's what she really wants. All right. Let's see. I was going to play for you the old James Comey auto-tune song where James Comey was telling you that she broke the law, but I don't think I'm going to have time to do that today. So just know that I was playing it in my head in spirit. We've got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana.
It would help if the damn thing that I saved would show up where I saved it.
Southwest Vision Center.
Yup. Ooh, unrelated warrants in Ohio. Well. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay, I'm getting text messages. Where can I find that audio clip of Hillary? Okay, I'll put it in the Daily Show Prep. There you go. If you want Hillary Clinton's audio and her barking like a dog and cackling, then it's right there in hour 3 of the Daily Show Prep today. Okay? It'll be there. Good Lord. It's there. Just uploaded it.
Oh, well, I just recorded all of that news.
Well. Look at you recording the news.
That's because we're still headed on that from the...
Your home comfort experts, heating specialists, first warning forecast.
Overnight, but temperatures only fall into the lower 50s, staying mild as we head into Thursday. Increasing clouds, partly cloudy with a high of 74. Friday, a big change. We'll top out in the 60s, but temperatures staying Friday afternoon with wind and rain. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm Chief Peter.
SW Vision Center.
Business report. Stocks making big gains today. The Dow adding 182 points. The Nasdaq up 80, while the S&P gained 26. There's a bit of investor optimism over ending a trade dispute with China. Sit-downs kicking off tomorrow in Washington. China's trade delegation is already in D.C.
President Trump weighed in. Look, I'm very happy right now. We're taking in billions of dollars of tariffs.
Those tariffs mean higher consumer costs for Americans on Chinese goods. Democrats say it's taking its toll on the U.S. economy. Good news, drivers, gas prices appear to be slowly ticking back down after recently rising. AAA puts the nationwide average at $2.64 a gallon. We now have a date for Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg to go on the hot seat in Congress October 23rd. The focus, Facebook's impact on the financial services and housing sectors. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Tom Graham, invested in you.
When we say food
Hi, I'm
with
Jay Farner,
attitude,
CEO of
what we mean is the finest American-style tapas food in Mishawaka, surrounded by a craft beer, fine
The Atlanta Braves are not doing any tomahawks, huh?
At Temper Grill, Chef Sean works with the finest ingredients to deliver you an unmatched dining experience that changes every week to fit the time of the year and his mood, while always satisfying your taste buds. Visit Tuesday nights for half-price wine bottles, Wednesday for...
Ooh, 150 scorpion peppers, nice.
Check out Roman's ridiculous list, or other evenings Tuesdays through Saturdays with the atmosphere of Temper Grill, with a perfect backdrop for any occasion. Reservations required, 21 and up. Explore our menu.
See, I didn't know that they streamed it on Twitch, but I was planning on having that at the end of the show when I do my headlines here.
With a truly unforgettable dining experience, because life is too short and the food is too good to break bread in a bad mood. Temper Grill, food with attitude.
I'm Sean Haas, an Army veteran, teacher, husband, and father, running as Republican for mayor of South Bend. 50 years of one-party rule has left our city with a soaring crime rate, few jobs, broken roads, and failing schools. My opponent wants to continue the same failed policies of Mayor Pete. As mayor, I will fight to restore the safety of our streets, revitalize our schools, and ensure that our city is rebuilt in a way that we can all prosper. On November 5th, let's not have another repeat. Vote for me, Sean Haas for mayor, paid for by the committee to elect Sean Haas for mayor.
Yeah, you can watch me on the smart TV. I think that the Mob Crush app also carries the show. I do believe. Wreck of Hillary Clinton. Okay, I'll take a look at it. No, he just donated Happy. You can give an in-kind donation if you want through Streamlabs. You don't have to. It helps because I pay for all of this on my own. So, I mean, it does help.
Southwest.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. As most of you know, I go to Southwest Vision Center for my eye care. I had LASIK many years ago, started to notice that it wasn't as sharp as it used to be, so I went to Southwest Vision Center, found out that they are amazing people, fantastic place. While I was there, I was talking to them about my dry eyes. Now, we are going to have to set up a full dry eye screening. They did a preliminary screening while I was there. But again, they have to do a full thing, right? So it's a very specialized thing. But dry eyes actually affect a lot of people. About 4.8 million Americans are diagnosed with dry eye per year, but many more go undiagnosed. And Southwest Vision Center is a dry eye center of excellence, which means that they have the training and the tools to help you identify the issues, and they can then formulate a treatment plan for you. Now, this is routinely undiagnosed, okay? So 4.8 million people are diagnosed with dry eyes every year, but many people don't ever have it diagnosed. They don't go see a professional about it, and this has huge impact on your vision. And if you're having trouble seeing at night, too, for instance, my wife has big problems seeing at night, and we think that her eyes have dry eyes as well. So dry, itchy, even eyes that water excessively, they're all symptoms of dry eye. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but if you're overproducing tears, it could be because you have dry eyes. So then you got your electronics that you're all involved with. This is continuing to make the issue a little bit worse. We're all on computer screens and mobile phones and video games and all of that. So go ahead and schedule a dry eye examination today, and you can do that at Southwest Vision Center. And by the way, if you have your health savings account and flex money available, and if it will expire before the end of the year, if you don't use it, which a lot of people are in that boat, Ask about how you can use those funds for treatment of dry eye and get yourself ready to be 2020 in. Are you ready for this? 2020. I dig it. swvisioncenter.com is their website. Find the location nearest you. Set up an appointment today. They even have more information about dry eye syndrome right there in the menu bar on their website. You can also go to theburningtruth.us, click on sponsors, click on Southwest Vision Center, and you will learn about an exclusive program that will save you tons of money. Might actually be cheaper than your insurance out of pocket, only for my listeners. Again, theburningtruth.us, click on sponsors, click on Southwest Vision Center, or you can visit them online, swvisioncenter.com. They've got a really good Facebook page as well. Make sure you let them know that I sent you. All right, 574-2595-953. That is 2595953. John Solomon has another update on the so-called impeachment thing, which isn't a real impeachment thing. It is a fake secret impeachment thing that doesn't involve the whole Congress because they changed the rules. So John Solomon says, he went on Hannity last night. I can confirm to you the U.S. government had open source intelligence and was aware that as early as February in 2019 that the Ukrainian government was planning on reopening the Burisma investigation, which is at the center of Joe Biden and his son. This was long before the president ever imagined to have a call with President Zelensky. In fact, it's before President Zelensky was even elected. This is a significant shift in the factual timeline. This is information that was omitted, by the way, from the whistleblower complaint. That's big news. So remember, the tenet of this impeachment inquiry, which isn't a real impeachment inquiry anyway, it's theater. The tenet of this is that the president threatened Ukraine with withholding money that if Ukraine didn't interfere in the 2020 election by looking at an actual long-standing criminal allegation against his son, Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, that the United States would withhold aid. Again, what is laughable about this is that we already know that Joe Biden withheld over $1 billion in aid to the Ukraine by demanding they fire the guy who was looking into his son. That guy, in a court affidavit in the Ukraine, said that I was fired because I was looking at Joe Biden's son. So, again, if you're going to say this is a crime with a quid pro quo, it has to be with Joe Biden, not with Donald Trump. We have the transcript of the call. The president didn't have a quid pro quo demand. The foreign minister of the Ukraine said that didn't exist. The president of the Ukraine said that didn't exist. And now we are learning that the Ukraine was already planning on reopening the investigation into Burisma Holdings, which Hunter Biden was a part of and was being paid a ton of money for expertise he didn't have, presumably for access to the vice president, that they were planning on reopening that in February of 2019, before the phone call even happened in August of 2019. February is before August, in case you didn't know. You're confused about that timeline, which means the entire premise of the Ukraine only looking to reopen the investigation because President Trump threatened them with financial aid is null and void, even though it was already null and void with the transcript, and that the Ukraine didn't know about the potential withholding of money until months after the phone call even happened. Yeah, it's a big confusing mess, but basically this whole impeachment inquiry, which isn't a real impeachment inquiry, is based on false premises anyway. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey.
This breaks 3 minutes. You'll come back at like 46.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Really?
Yeah.
They moved some spots or something?
I think so, because like the other 46 breaks were like 6 minutes.
Okay, so maybe that's what they did. All right, so what do I have now? CBD?
The last thing is the CBD. Okay. And you'll have 3 minutes after that too.
Okay.
So you'll have CBD read, you take a minute for that, you'll have 3 minutes after that.
Okay. All righty. So, good deal. Good deal. It's a Cibidid.
So this back half's actually useful.
All right. All right, all right, all right.
For more than 40 years, local protective services
For the record, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking at selling this CBD lotion anyway. I can do wholesale on it. So I may also, I may end up putting it on like Facebook or something.
Named after Logan's founding father, Joe Newman, Newmanfest raises awareness and funds for Logan Protective Services. Don't wait. Get your tickets today at any Logan location or order online at logancenter.org. The cost is $25. You'll enjoy a buffet catered by Monterey Mexican Grill, accompanied by unlimited music and dancing, a cash bar, silent auction, and prizes round out the fun. Here's all you need to know. The Brick, Sunday, October 20th, 2 to 6 p.m. Newmanfest, a good time for a good purpose. Don't miss it.
We've all been there before. Equipment malfunction can wreck your plans and shut down your office or facility. Let's be blunt, you don't have time for downtime. You need the confidence that comes with commitment to excellence, found at Final Phase Electric. Let us help you from the start. Upgrade or repair your current electrical systems, or get ahead of the game with a professional assessment that
There
goes
we
into
go.
a
Okay.
full-scale preventative maintenance schedule. Using advanced tools like thermal imaging cameras can help us identify issues that haven't even popped up yet. We even provide 24-hour emergency service. Ask yourself,
I'm just working on
has this grown beyond our current
their new website, making sure things work and are functional.
Does the lighting in my facility
So far, it seems okay, but they asked me to hold off on announcing the new website until later. So,
From plant wiring, service upgrades, energy-efficient lighting, and commercial solutions for every industry. Let us take the guesswork out of your project.
but the coupon code works. Everything's good.
On Facebook or visit finalphaseelectric.net.
Get breaking news and weather online on 95.3
All right.
MNC.com. From Newstalk 95.3 Michiana's news channel.
So that's it. I'm till 50, right? Okay.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. So, new product that I am endorsing works wonders. Absolutely love this product. In fact, I put some on today because my left elbow hurts sometimes, little tendons behind my elbow. It's an old injury that kind of nags me a little bit. And that is Naturals CBD lotion. So obviously it's a moisturizer. They have lavender available now, but it's like a citrusy lavender. It doesn't really smell like your standard lavender. Certainly not artificial lavender because it's real. So stuff smells good, but it's got more of a citrus orangey tone to it. And they're working on other scents right now as well. But my family absolutely loves it. This is CBD lotion, comes in 2 strengths, okay? You can get 250 milligrams. This is full spectrum, naturally occurring CBD. You get 250 milligrams or 500 milligrams. And the 500 milligrams, by the way, is only $19.99. And you get a discount when you use coupon code KC10. So it's like twice the concentration of the competition for like half the price. It's really affordable. It's amazing. It works. THC free. Grown, harvested, produced, and tested in the United States of America from a veteran-owned company. And it has these amazing restorative benefits. And again, just works on minor aches and pains and skin irritation and that sort of stuff. It just is phenomenal. Plus, it's a lotion, so it helps moisturize your skin as well. To get your bottle of the natural CBD lotion, go to juicemafia.com. And again, use coupon code KC10 at checkout to save yourself 10%. Hence the coupon code KC10. So phenomenal stuff. Absolutely love it. It's great. I've told the story of how it helped us quite a bit on the program. Definitely encourage it. Had a bunch of listeners reaching out to me today trying to figure out where to get it. Juicemafia.com. Coupon code KC10 to save yourself some money. There was a anti-Semitic, I guess you could call it a terrorist attack in Germany. It's not getting a lot of play, again, in the United States. A lot of these attacks don't, but there was an attack in Germany on a synagogue that happened earlier, and it's on Yom Kippur. So again, this was near a German synagogue, and the gunmen, wore tactical gear, opened fire, multiple people. So, be on the lookout for these stories. You don't get a lot of information about these types of things in the United States. They're very Well, they're biased in what they report. We already know that, but I'll put the information in the daily show prep for everybody. So make sure you take a look at it there. At least one of the attackers was dressed in tactical gear and opened fire and then fled in a car, according to news reports. But you run into a lot of this stuff overseas, especially in Germany, whereas you don't necessarily get it in the United States of America. So we'll continue to report on these types of things as we get them, and we will be able to pass that on. Attorney General William Barr is also coming to town. He will be speaking Friday at Notre Dame. I'll do my best to be able to talk with the guy. I don't know that I'm going to be able to, folks, but I will promise that I will try and reach out to the Attorney General while he is going to be in town visiting Notre Dame. Thank you for following me online at Casey the Host on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook, and on Facebook and Parler. Here is Bill O'Reilly with the O'Reilly Update.
There we go. What's that?
Good smooth.
Yeah. Went pretty easy. All right, so I got to fix the daily show prep. I hate it when it pastes instead of pasting as plain text. Makes everything more difficult.
China punishing the NDA over a pro-democracy tweet. A new survey shows younger Americans resent healthy people. Also ahead, the message
Young Americans resent healthy people. That's interesting. If, of course, the survey is correct. Hold on, folks. I'm just finishing the show prep so I can get it uploaded and ready for you to digest. Yesterday's didn't get uploaded because my browser took a dive on me. And sorry. So you're just gonna have to do your best. All right, there we go. Okay.
because of a series of factors including tax cuts, increased military spending, and trade problems. The U.S. military confirming the death of a senior al-Qaeda member in Afghanistan. Pentagon releasing new details of a top-secret raid in Taliban-controlled territory that killed 26 terrorists.
Yeah, no, you don't need pro happy. Yeah, just do it basic if you're gonna do it, and you don't have to, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Happy just tipped $10. Thank you, Happy. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Oh, you're like 2 days late, man.
Yeah, he's a little late. He's old, man. He naps. Barefoot Adventures is on
So
here.
on that, back to Blizzard, they did on Twitch. It was a collegiate tourney, and one of the collegiate dudes had a thing that said boycott Blizzard, whatever, freedom for Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And he immediately cut away from it.
Really?
But it got up there and it got clipped.
Huh.
So Blizzard's ironically taking a lot of fire for it.
Well, Happy.
That's not my line.
Yeah, I hear you. Happy, we appreciate it anyway. Seriously, thank you. It does help. It really does. Brad, the Justin Trudeau thing. Oh my goodness. Oh man.
So this is 10-9.
That is funny. Ay vey. Yeah, the YouTube emojis aren't great, are they? What else do we got? Kind of going through them right now, just taking a look. Did you guys see the new Glenlivet Tide Pods? So Glenlivet Scotch, they have, they're like Tide Pod things, but they're full of the Scotch. And you put them in your mouth and it dissolves and you get a shot of Scotch. I mean, you could obviously put a splash of water in a cup and put it in there and it would dissolve and you'd have a drink too. But it's pretty neat. So you can actually take little packages of scotch with you everywhere instead of having a bottle. I'm down for that. Anything that makes consuming scotch that much easier, I'm down with. If it was real whiskey, I'd be all over it. Take care, Brad. Appreciate it.
R2 was the Trump. That's why that's so long.
Yeah, with the one segment. Yeah. Yeah, we went to like 22 or some crap like that.
I was just looking out trying to make sure I didn't record more than I needed to.
Elements when you.
Yeah, it's just because we went long on that first segment, so we're good.
I don't know how much. I think somebody was asking how much for the pods. I don't know. Or they were talking to somebody else. They might have been talking to somebody else. You're drunk thinking about it? Yeah. I don't know, man. Anytime I can do that without having to take a bottle with me, I'm down. I am down.
Oh, because we went straight. Okay.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to pack up and get on the bike. I got to go see Mom. Thank you, Blue. I appreciate that. Cape Court case in Michigan. All right. So Blue is asking me to look. Well, what's the vape court case? Okay. Vape. Let's see. I know that a judge declined to halt the vaping ban on the 30th, but
oh, good for some of
all right, hold on. Detroit Metro Times might have it. Michigan Court of Claims judge on Wednesday delayed a decision on whether to temporarily halt the state's flavored ban. This is okay. After 2 days of testimony, Judge Cynthia Stevens said that she needs more time to consider an injunction request against Mark Sleaze, the owner of 906 Vapor in Hutton. Sleaze argued in a lawsuit that Governor Gretchen Whitmer overstepped her authority by banning flavored nicotine vaping products without the approval of state lawmakers. The ban went into effect on October 2nd. He's right, by the way. Sleaze and another vape shop owner testified Tuesday that the ban, if it continues, will likely force them and other similar businesses to close and file for bankruptcy. Sleaze added that vaping helped him and many others quit smoking cigarettes, which generally are considered far more hazardous. Generally are considered far more hazardous. I love that language. Generally, cigarettes are considered far more hazardous than vaping. Yeah, you think? Let's see. If Stevens approves the request for a preliminary injunction, the state would not be able to enforce the ban while the court decides the merits of the lawsuit. So I'll save that. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I assume that's what you're referring to. The National Vaping Association is leading a lawsuit against Massachusetts' ban. So, yeah, there's a couple of things that are happening, but I assume that's what you're referring to. So, okay, yep, I'll put it on the docket for tomorrow and I'll follow it. And then I will also take a look at some of the people that I know in the vaping industry in Michigan. I will give Mom the best. She bounced out a little bit earlier. I'm going to go see her tonight. And let's see. Thank you. All right, so what do I want to talk about tomorrow? Yeah, okay, I didn't get to that today, so we'll talk about that tomorrow. All right, you get to listen to me do a promo for tomorrow. Casey Hendrickson here, a Republican representative, has introduced a Casey Hendrickson here, a Republican representative, has introduced a resolution to expel Nancy Pelosi from Congress. We'll talk about that and more Thursday, 3 to 6 on 95.3 MNC. Do your magic choppiness on that. I forgot what day it was. So, dude, it does not feel like it is Wednesday. It feels like a really long week. All right.
Nancy Pelosi from Congress. We'll talk about that and more.
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate it.
We'll talk about that and more Thursday. Or Thursday, 3 to 6. We'll talk about that and more Thursday, 3 to 6 on 95.
That's the way you say more.
That and more Thursday, 3 to 6 on 95.3 MNC. Congress. We'll talk.
All right. I'm going to bounce, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not getting in the middle of fights. I don't have the energy. But thank you for watching. I appreciate the support. And I'm going to go ahead and go see Mom now. So I got to hop on the bike and get over there. But I do appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. You take care. Have a wonderful night.